Hey guys, welcome to History Behind the Warrior, and today we're going to be talking about Noob Saibot. Now this history is all over the place, so I'm going to try and piece it together as best as I can. I'm not going to say that there aren't any issues with the timeline and continuity, but I'll try to decipher it as good as I can. Pre-Mortal Kombat. Noob Saibot's real name is Bi-Han. Bi-Han and his younger brother Kuai Liang were kidnapped as children by the Lin Kuei. The two would be trained up by the Lin Kuei to become the world's best assassins, with Bi-Han taking the name of Sub-Zero, and his younger brother taking the name Tundra. The reason why they both have ice-related names is because they originally come from a cryomancy. The name Tundra. The reason why they both have ice-related names is because they originally come from a cryomancy. The name Tundra. The reason why they both have the name Tundra. The reason why they both have the name Tundra. The reason why they both have As always, spoilers ahead. Pre-Mortal Kombat. Smoke's real name is actually Thomas Verbada. When growing up, Thomas had no supernatural abilities and was just a normal boy. Until one day, Thomas was kidnapped by a cult. Their intentions were to sacrifice the boy to a demon, and like that, Thomas would be burned alive. After his death, Thomas would return back to the mortal realm as an Enenera, a creature made up of smoke and vapor that is created from the slain souls of dead humans. Smoke then proceeded to kill all the members of the cult, in which after killing them all he returned back to his human form. Due to the shock that was created by this event, Smoke would suffer from amnesia and actually forget this entire situation. Later on at some point, Smoke would then join the Lin Kuei, in which he was used for stealth missions since he could just pop into a cloud of smoke and disappear. Smoke debuts in Mortal Kombat 2 as a hidden character alongside Noob Saibot and Jade. Since Smoke appears as a hidden character, there's pretty much nothing to say about him at this point until he gets his own storyline in Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3. Prior to Mortal Kombat 3, we find out that Kuai Liang, the younger Sub-Zero, and Smoke are on the run from the Lin Kuei. The reasoning behind this is because the two ninjas returned to the Lin Kuei after failing to complete a mission in which they had to kill Shang Tsung. When the two returned to the Lin Kuei, they found out that most of them had been turned into cyborgs. The Grand Master then insisted that the two ninjas be automated into machines. The two refused and ran away from the Lin Kuei. Sub-Zero was able to escape, however Smoke was captured by his peers and converted into a cyborg, going by the codename LK-72. Under the new programming of the Lin Kuei, Smoke was forced to hunt down his old friend and kill Sub-Zero. During the events of Mortal Kombat 3, Smoke was able to discover Sub-Zero's location. The two of them then proceeded to fight, with Sub-Zero trying to convince Smoke that he still had a soul. Eventually, Smoke began gaining consciousness of his body, and was slowly able to break away from the Lin Kuei's control. Finally becoming a free man, Smoke was able to do whatever he wished, in which then he decided to assist Sub-Zero in defending Earthrealm. During the events of Mortal Kombat 3, he teamed up with Sub-Zero to fight his former friends Sector and Cyrax. The two managed to defeat the cyborgs, however not long after this, Smoke was captured by Shao Kahn's forces. Smoke would then be decommissioned as a trophy and locked away in the bowels of Shao Kahn's fortress. Now Smoke disappears for a very long time, and he actually misses Mortal Kombat 4/Gold and Deadly Alliance. Mortal Kombat Deception. About a decade later, Smoke is discovered by the mysterious Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot then proceeds to reactivate the cyborg, whose nanotechnology is set with repairing and improving his systems. Due to his reprogramming, Smoke is now forced to obey Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot had a plan of using Smoke's template for a future army of cyber demons, in which he could then use to conquer the Netherrealm. Although he is forced into assisting Noob Saibot, it's been hinted that a part of his soul and his good nature still remains. There are a few hints, such as Ultra's ending in Mortal Kombat Deception, and even in the Conquest mode, where Smoke asks Gentle to send a message to Sub-Zero. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Smoke is still seen assisting Noob Saibot. Smoke is seen alongside Noob Saibot invading the Lin Kuei Temple. Noob then proceeds to leave Smoke to find Sub-Zero and kill him. Noob leaves Smoke a mission to find the defeated Lin Kuei warriors who had been beaten by Taven, and transform them into Shadow Fighters. Whilst converting some of the Lin Kuei warriors into Shadow Fighters, he is confronted by Taven. Noob and Smoke are eventually defeated by Taven and Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero states that we tried to make Noob remember his memories once more, but his plans with Smoke is currently unknown. In a nice little twist, in the Battle of Armageddon we find out that Noob is still fighting on the evil side, and Smoke is actually seen fighting on the good side. This may hint that Sub-Zero was successful in restoring Smoke's memories, however he wasn't able to get to Noob Saibot in time. However, as we all know at the beginning of Mortal Kombat 9, everyone pretty much dies, including Noob and Smoke. Now we can jump to the reboot of the game, Mortal Kombat 9. Smoke first appears in Mortal Kombat 9 alongside the younger Sub-Zero when the two are searching for the original Sub-Zero, Bi-Han. Their search for Bi-Han leads them to the wasteland of Outworld, where the two Lin Kuei warriors then decide to split up so they can cover more ground. Whilst exploring Outworld's wastelands, Smoke came across Kitana, who told the Lin Kuei warrior that he should not be here. The two of them then fight, with Smoke emerging victorious. Smoke's exploration later leads him to the Living Forest, where he comes across Kano and Shang Tsung, who are in the process of a heavy weapons deal. Smoke confronts the two but is challenged by Kano. After defeating the arms dealer, Shang Tsung morphs into the older Sub-Zero and teams up with Reptile in a 2-on-1 battle against Smoke. Smoke is able to hold his own but is ambushed by Sector and the Lin Kuei, who attempt to cyberize him. Before he could be completely automated, Raiden would appear and shock all the Lin Kuei warriors that were trying to cyberize him. Wanting to no longer be part of the Lin Kuei, Smoke pledged his allegiance to Raiden. After this, the three of them would then pursue and try to find the younger Sub-Zero. Three of them arrive at Shao Kahn's Colosseum, where they find the younger Sub-Zero. However, he is in the process of being automated. Smoke attempts to save Sub-Zero but is stopped by Raiden, saying that it's too late. Raiden, Smoke and Johnny Cage then travel to Outworld and confront Kitana to try and convince her to side with them. However, Kitana is shocked and angered by Earthrealmers here and attacks them. Smoke and Johnny Cage are defeated by the princess, even though it was a 2-on-1 fight. Later on, Smoke appears alongside Raiden, Liu Kang, Kung Lao and Johnny Cage, and they've just seen Jade defeat Mileena. Smoke believes Mileena is actually Kitana due to them being clones, and attacks Jade. Jade manages to fend off the assassin and defeats Smoke. Although he's not seen during the second Mortal Kombat tournament, Raiden mentions to Liu Kang and Kung Lao that he has been defeated and eliminated. Smoke is later seen during the Earthrealm invasion after Cabal defeats Cyber Sub-Zero. Smoke rushes to the aid of the young Kuai Liang and asks the Earthrealm warriors to help him reprogram Cyber Sub-Zero. Smoke is the first one the young Sub-Zero sees after he's reprogrammed and agrees to align with the Earthrealm warriors. Smoke briefly appears a few more times in Mortal Kombat 9 during the Lin Kuei cyborg attack. He is however killed off with many of the Earthrealm warriors by Sindel. Smoke is later seen being resurrected by Quan Chi to face Raiden. However, before Raiden can fight the Revenant version of Smoke, he leaves the Netherrealm to face Shao Kahn. This is the last we see of Smoke in Mortal Kombat 9, and as we continue through the storyline we find that he's still a Revenant belonging to Quan Chi. Mortal Kombat X. The undead Smoke now identifies himself as a Nedra and participates in the Netherrealm invasion of Earthrealm. He appears alongside his fellow Revenants Jax and Nightwolf and fights Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade when they are travelling to the Jinsei chamber to stop Shinnok. During the fight, Smoke fights Johnny Cage but is quickly defeated by the actor. Smoke doesn't appear again until Shinnok is released from his amulet. He's presented alongside the undead versions of Liu Kang, Sindel, Kung Lao and Kitana. He alongside of the other Revenants pledge their allegiance to Shinnok and then travel to the Sky Temple. When the Revenants arrive at the Sky Temple they capture Raiden. However, they begin antagonizing the god, which eventually leads to a fight breaking out. Smoke, Kitana and Sindel are shocked and knocked out, while Liu Kang and Kung Lao are defeated by Raiden himself. While Shinnok is corrupting the Jinsei, Smoke, Kung Lao and Liu Kang try to find Raiden's portal to the heavens. When the three revenants disappear and leave Kitana and Sindel to guard Shinnok, they are ambushed by Cassie Cage's team. Smoke, Liu Kang and Kung Lao return only to find that Kitana and Sindel have been defeated by Cassie Cage's team and engage Takeda Takahashi and Jackie Briggs. Smoke is seen engaging Takeda and Jackie in combat whilst Cassie is fighting off Shinnok. After defeating Shinnok, he retreats back to the Netherrealm alongside with his fellow revenants. And this is the last we actually see of Smoke, and it's a shame that he's not actually a playable character or a playable NPC character in Mortal Kombat X. I speak for many of us Mortal Kombat fans when I say we want Smoke in a combat pack. But there's no doubt about Shao Kahn, pre-Mortal Kombat. Long ago, before Shao Kahn was the Emperor of Outworld, he was an advisor to the Dragon King Onaga, who ruled Outworld at the time. Onaga's empire was the most powerful amongst all of the realms. Onaga didn't want to lose control of his armies, and as such began searching for a way to become immortal. Unfortunately for Onaga, Shao Kahn had made his move and poisoned the Dragon King, taking his throne. Shao Kahn, now in control of one of the most powerful armies in all of the realms, began conquering worlds. His most notable achievement was merging the realm of Edenia with Outworld. Edenia would lose 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments, and that would lead them to their annihilation. During the invasion, Shao Kahn had killed King Jared and taken Queen Sindel as his own. Shao Kahn would also take Princess Kitana, who was very young at the time, and raise her. Not long after Edenia's destruction, Queen Sindel would take her own life. Although she was freed from life, she would be imprisoned in death, as Shao Kahn held her soul in Outworld, preventing her from transitioning into the afterlife. Many years later, Shao Kahn set his eyes on Earthrealm. He would send Shang Tsung and eventually Goro to Earthrealm to prepare it for an invasion via Mortal Kombat. When Goro defeated the Great Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat, he initiated a winning streak that would last for 500 years. Mortal Kombat. During the 10th Mortal Kombat tournament, Goro and Shang Tsung are defeated by the Shaolin monk Liu Kang. This means that the 500-year win streak was now thrown out the window. Shang Tsung was brought before Shao Kahn on his knees, in which he begged for his life. The sorcerer then came up with a plan to lure the Earthrealm warriors to Outworld and challenged them to a new Mortal Kombat tournament. Shao Kahn agreed to this plan and spared Shang Tsung's life. Mortal Kombat 2. During the events of the second Mortal Kombat tournament, Shao Kahn wanted to get rid of his opposition. He would do this by kidnapping Kano and Sonya, as well as ambushing Johnny Cage with a Tarkatan horde. Although none of the Earthrealm warriors were killed, Shao Kahn had made his intentions quite clear. Liu Kang was finally able to face Shao Kahn and defeat the Emperor. Shocked and angered at his defeat, Shao Kahn would call his armies to destroy the Earthrealm warriors, in which they would then flee back to Earthrealm. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Before invading Earthrealm, Shao Kahn resurrected Queen Sindel. When Shao Kahn finally entered Earthrealm, he stripped the souls from people's bodies and claimed them as his own. He had also created extermination squads to hunt down and kill the remaining survivors. During the battle, Shao Kahn would be confronted by Kung Lao, another Shaolin, and a good friend of Liu Kang. Shao Kahn would attack and seemingly kill the young Shaolin, enraging Liu Kang. Liu Kang would face Shao Kahn once again and defeat the Emperor. After Shao Kahn was defeated, he stopped merging Outworld with Earthrealm. After being worn down from his battle with Liu Kang, he returns to Outworld, only to find out that many of his loyal soldiers had abandoned him. Due to how weakened Shao Kahn was, Kitana and Sindel were able to restore Edenia as an independent realm. Mortal Kombat 4. Shao Kahn himself doesn't appear in Mortal Kombat 4, however during this time he's regaining his strength, as the Elder God's focus is now on Shinnok. After Shinnok was eventually defeated, the Edenians created an alliance with the Shokan. The two would then join forces and attack Outworld. If it were not for Kano's strategy as a commander of his army and the stealth of his assassin Noob Saibot, who would critically injure Goro, Shao Kahn would have perished. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Shao Kahn makes a very brief appearance in this game, and he is approached by Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, who enter his throne room. The two preach a false alliance to the Emperor, only to attack and kill Shao Kahn. Unknown to the two sorcerers that this wasn't the real Shao Kahn, but a clone. It is revealed that the real Shao Kahn appeared before the wounded Goro, and using what little power he had left, revived him. By reviving the prince, he would once again gain the Shokan as his ally. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. After Onaga's defeat by Sejenko, Shao Kahn would storm his own fortress. When he entered his throne room, he found out that Melina was secretly in control, under the disguise of Kitana. Melina would then pass over control to Shao Kahn, and he would once again become Outworld's ruler. During the Conquest mode, he would create an uneasy alliance with Quan Chi, Shang Tsung and Onaga in hopes of defeating Blaze and seizing his godlike power. However, during the Battle of Armageddon, this alliance would break and an all-out battle would commence. Shao Kahn would attempt to kill Shang Tsung, only to be taken away by his old master, Onaga. Shao Kahn somehow managed to escape his former emperor and kill Blaze, absorbing his godlike power. This would mean that Shao Kahn had won the Battle of Armageddon, in which he then kills Raiden. Mortal Kombat 9. Raiden's last moments in the Battle of Armageddon was sending a message back to his past self in order to stop Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn doesn't appear during the first Mortal Kombat tournament, but only after Shang Tsung is defeated by Liu Kang. Shao Kahn is furious at Shang Tsung and nearly kills the sorcerer until he tells him the alternate solution: to hold a tournament in Outworld with new rules. Shao Kahn agrees to this and later rejuvenates Shang Tsung. During the second Mortal Kombat tournament, Shao Kahn is physically present. Shao Kahn becomes frustrated when Sub-Zero appears at the tournament. After Sub-Zero has defeated Scorpion, the Lin Kuei appear and begin automating the ninja. Cyrax and Sector then approach the Emperor and order him their services in exchange for the ninja. Shao Kahn accepts their services and then turns to Kitana. Kahn expresses his anger towards her, telling her that she had only one job and that was to stop Earthrealm warriors on their home turf. Before Kitana can explain herself, she is dismissed. Shao Kahn later appears after Kitana has found out about Melina's existence and defeats Shang Tsung. She brings Shang Tsung to Shao Kahn's feet and explains the entire situation. Much to Kitana's surprise, Shao Kahn compliments Shang Tsung and reveals to Kitana the truth about her entire life being a lie. After telling her the truth about Edenia, he then orders for her to be executed and replaced by Melina. Jade would overhear this and would defect from Shao Kahn. Nearing the end of the second tournament after Kung Lao has defeated Kintaro, Shao Kahn creeps up behind the Shaolin monk and breaks his neck. Raiden is angered and nearly electrocutes Shao Kahn, until Liu Kang assaults the Emperor. The two would fight, with Liu Kang defeating Shao Kahn and punching a hole through his chest. Since Kahn's apparent death, many of his lieutenants began to argue who should be the new ruler of Outworld, until Shao Kahn appeared before them, still alive. It is revealed that Quan Chi used his sorcery to save Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn scolds Shang Tsung, as now Outworld cannot touch Earthrealm. Quan Chi, however, offers Shang Tsung an alternate solution: a direct invasion of Earthrealm. Quan Chi reveals to Shao Kahn that before Sindel died, she knew that Earthrealm had no real protection against Outworld, and she sacrificed her own life to create a barrier that prevents Shao Kahn from physically entering Earthrealm. Quan Chi goes on to explain that this barrier could be nullified if she were to be resurrected. Shao Kahn is pleased to hear this and agrees with him. In exchange for this, he allows Quan Chi to have any of the souls of the Earthrealm warriors who would be killed during the Earthrealm invasion. With Sindel now resurrected, Shao Kahn had an open window to merge Earthrealm with Outworld. During the Earthrealm invasion, Motaro would be brought back dead, having been killed by Raiden. Although he is angered by this, Sindel states that she will finish what Motaro has started. To ensure that Sindel does not fail, Shao Kahn absorbs the souls from Shang Tsung's body, killing him and transfers them to Sindel. Later during the invasion, Sindel would appear and kill most of the Earthrealm warriors, before being killed herself by Nightwolf's sacrifice. When Raiden confronts Quan Chi in the Netherrealm, it is revealed by Quan Chi that he has all the souls of the lost warriors that were guaranteed to him by Shao Kahn. It is also during this time where Raiden understands the message he received from the Raiden in the other timeline, stating he who must win truly is Shao Kahn. The reason for this is because if Shao Kahn is allowed to merge the realms as he intends to, he will be breaking the rules of Mortal Kombat, and the Elder Gods will have to destroy him. As Shao Kahn attempts to merge the realms, Liu Kang appears and attempts to stop him, despite Raiden's warnings. This would result in the two of them fighting amongst each other, with Liu Kang accidentally being killed. When Shao Kahn fully emerged, Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage attempted to stop him, only to be swatted away like flies. Raiden would surrender to Shao Kahn, but Shao Kahn was not satisfied and beated the Thunder God down. As Shao Kahn was going to kill Raiden, the Thunder Gods would intervene, giving Raiden their power. Raiden and Shao Kahn would face off, with Raiden finally being able to defeat the Emperor. Shao Kahn would attempt to attack Raiden one final time, only to be blasted by the Elder God's power. After this, the Elder Gods would take Shao Kahn away for punishment. After Shao Kahn's failed invasion, Quan Chi is seen picking up Shao Kahn's helmet. Not all is what it seems, as the fallen god Shinnok reveals that this was all part of his plan to escape the Netherrealm. And that's it for Shao Kahn, guys. He's not really dead, but he's gone away for punishment, which does have me in quite high hopes to think that he may come back at some point. I really do hope he comes back, because to me personally, I think he's one of the best video game bosses of all time. Anyway guys, here's a preview for next week's episode.
At your worst, sorcerer, you shall see my worst.
I purposely left out Quan Chi talking about Goro, pre-Mortal Kombat. Goro is around 2,000 years old, and he is a Shokan, which is a half-human, half-dragon hybrid. He is also the son of King Gorbak, making him a prince. Now due to his lineage, he does have a rather big ego, but he can back it up. This can be seen when Goro participates in the first Mortal Kombat tournament, in which he actually manages to defeat the Great Kung Lao. After killing the Great Kung Lao, he remains undefeated for 9 Mortal Kombat tournaments. Mortal Kombat. Outworld was on the verge of victory, only needing to win one more Mortal Kombat tournament to invade Earthrealm. Although Outworld had the advantage of winning 9 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments, they had no experience of facing a Shaolin monk quite like Liu Kang. Eventually Goro would face Liu Kang and push him to his limits, but in the end it seemed that Liu Kang was too much for the Shokan warrior. After Outworld's defeat at the Mortal Kombat tournament, Shang Tsung's island began to crumble. During its destruction, Goro would get into a fight with Kano, Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade before disappearing. He was believed by many to be dead. Mortal Kombat 4. After Shao Kahn's defeat by Liu Kang, Goro would resurface. Despite his humiliating loss to Liu Kang, Goro began to take an interest into his race. He would do this by joining his fellow Shokan in the war against the Centaurians. The two races would fight each other until Princess Kitana intervened and negotiated a peace treaty between the two. During the negotiations, Kung Lao would appear and challenge Goro to Mortal Kombat, as he wanted to avenge his predecessor, the Great Kung Lao. The battle would be fierce, with Kung Lao slashing Goro's chest, leaving a scar in it. This was considered a ceremonial blow, and Kung Lao considered the score settled between the two. After Shinnok's defeat, Goro would continue his partnership with both the Centaurians and the Edenians. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Many years later, the united forces of the Edenians and the Shokan army marched on Shao Kahn's fortress. During the battle, Goro would be struck from behind by Noob Saibot, mortally wounding the Shokan and leaving him for dead. Goro would however be saved by Shao Kahn, who had faked his own death by the hands of the Deadly Alliance. Shao Kahn would promise Goro to return the Shokans back to their former glory, and banish the Centaurians in exchange for his allegiance. Due to him now being in debt to Shao Kahn, he agreed to his terms. Goro would return to the battlefield and find a disfigured Shokan and place his royal seal on it, making them believe that he did die in the battle. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Goro alongside Shang Tsung would aid in gaining Shao Kahn his throne once more. During the conquest mode of the game, Goro would confront Taven in Shao Kahn's fortress. The Edenian demigod wished to kill Quan Chi, but in order to do so he would have to fight Goro first. The Edenian was able to defeat Goro, who then stormed off, telling Taemin that the next time they met, he wouldn't be so lucky. He's next seen during the Battle of Armageddon fighting on the forces of darkness. He is however killed, much like everyone else during the battle. Mortal Kombat 9. During the events of the new timeline, not much changes about Goro. He still has won 9 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments. However, in this timeline, Goro seems to be Shao Kahn's right-hand man, as he is seen during a flashback in the Mortal Kombat X comic book, in which he's aiding Shao Kahn in enslaving the Oztecs. He also participates with Shao Kahn and Reiko in enslaving the Kaiten. Goro is first seen in his lair during the events of the first Mortal Kombat tournament, where he confronts Liu Kang. Goro is happy to see that the Shaolin were finally able to create a warrior strong enough to fight him, but remarks that the Shaolin will be defeated regardless. Due to the Shogun underestimating the Shaolin, he is defeated by Liu Kang. This in turn ruins the 9 winning streak that Outworld has acquired. During the Kung Lao chapter of the game, Goro would appear, attempting to challenge Liu Kang, but he instead is challenged by Kung Lao, who manages to defeat the Shogun, avenging the death of his ancestor, the great Kung Lao. After Goro's defeat, the 2 Shaolin begin to interrogate Goro, asking him of Kitana's whereabouts. Goro tells them that she is at the Colosseum, and begins taunting the 2 by saying she is no doubt being executed. This immediately angers Liu Kang, who knocks out the Shogun. Goro later appears during the Earthrealm invasion, where he's seen guarding Earthrealm prisoners alongside Kintaro and Kano. The 3 of them are then frozen by Cyber Sub-Zero, who free the Earthrealm prisoners, before fighting Goro and Kintaro, who are able to break free of the ice. Despite being outnumbered, the Cyborg is able to defeat the 2 Shogun. Mortal Kombat Comic. After Shao Kahn's defeat, Kotal Khan has now risen and become the new Emperor of Outworld. Goro has now become the right-hand man of Kotal Khan, and has been assigned a mission to slay Reiko and Mileena, who are located in the desert. He is swayed to their side, as they promise to restore the Shogun to their glory, in which he then vows to kill Kotal for them. After betraying Kotal, Goro discusses a strategy with Reiko to lure Kotal Khan out, as well as his father. Kotal Ketz is lured into a trap by Reiko, in which rain then blocks out the sun, weakening the Oztecs as they draw their power from the sun. Kotal Ketz is then ambushed by Red Dragon mercenaries hired by Reiko, before he's finally confronted by Goro. Kotal Ketz declares Goro a traitor, and strikes him with Shao Kahn's wrath hammer, shattering several of his teeth, but not enough to phase Goro. The 2 then have a bloody battle, beating each other into submission, until Goro smashes Kotal Ketz's head against a rock, phasing the Oztec. Goro then claims the hammer of Shao Kahn for himself, and uses it to decapitate Ketz, killing him. It is not long after this that Kotal learns of Goro's betrayal and the death of his father. Kotal then confronts Goro, swearing to kill the Shogun for his betrayal. Goro attempts to use the same tactic from rain to block out the sun to render Kotal powerless. However, Kotal is smart, and uses the sun rays to badly burn Rain, rendering him unconscious. Kotal is able to control this amount of power due to the deal he made with blood magic, making him extremely powerful and dangerous. The 2 then fight, with Goro gaining the upper hand for the most part of the fight. The Shogun Prince then mocks Kotal, telling him that Shao Kahn would never allow someone like him to be on the throne. Due to Goro's cocky attitude, this allows Kotal to gain the upper hand, and rip off Goro's arms. After having all of his arms removed, he falls to his knees, and begs Kotal to finish him. Kotal considers doing this before declining, declaring that it would be an act of kindness, and this is forbidden by Shogun tradition, and this further enrages the humiliated prince. Goro is then next seen kneeling before his father in shame, telling Gorbak that he's an unworthy heir to the throne, and that he should be executed. Gorbak refuses to do this and tells Goro that the Shogun will no longer suffer under the Oztec's feet. He then reveals to his son that he sent an army led by Kintaro to attack Kotal Khan whilst he is weak. This would lead to the Battle of Zunkara, in which Gorbak would fail to kill Kotal and instead lose his own life. After his father's cremation, he is approached by Kintaro, who tells the prince that his injuries disqualify him from claiming the throne. Goro asks what would happen if he were to enter, Kitara warns him, reminding him that his father is no longer there to protect him. Goro then swears that he will return to claim the crown for himself, and departs. During his exile, Goro would study the Red Dragon Lord of the Dragon King Onaga, and become interested in his power, as Goro possessed a powerful ability to regenerate his limbs. Goro would then travel to the Crimson Forest, where he would attempt to strike a deal with Dagon. Upon arriving, he would be mocked by several Red Dragon soldiers, calling him the Prince of Criminals. The Prince then turns his sights on them, killing one of them and making his presence known. Goro then approaches Dagon, the demigod, and tells him that he has studied the lore of Onaga. Though Dagon is quickly able to understand his interest in the Dragon King, he asks the Shogun why he should help him, in which the prince then shows him his bargaining chip, a unconscious Kenshi Takahashi. And that's it for Goro's at the moment, guys. He doesn't really turn up in Mortal Kombat X, but does turn up as like a DLC character and a sub-boss of the tower. But he actually doesn't turn up in the game, which is kind of a shame. But it seems like they're doing a lot more with him in the comic books. Now, as always, guys, here's a preview for next week's episode. So yeah, you guys are gonna get Baraka next week, and he was actually really heavily requested, so I figured I'd give you guys what you asked for. Also following this week, I'm gonna be talking about my thoughts on the second Kombat pack, which was revealed on the Friday, I believe. Anyway guys, please comment, like, subscribe, take care, and I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, history behind the warrior. Today I'm going to be talking about Johnny Cage. Now I just want to do a shout out to another YouTuber for True Underdog Gaming. This guy is freaking amazing. He does so many good tutorials for each individual character in Mortal Kombat. He's a very nice guy, makes great quality videos. So go hop over to his channel and give him a subscription. Now another thing for you guys, I'm extremely unwell right now, which is why I sound a lot more monotone than what I do. So hopefully you guys can deal with that and listen to how annoying I am. The tournament. Bring a new audience to the cinema. Now a little cool fact for you guys, not many people know this and some people do. Of course the Mortal Kombat game featured real people doing actions and stunts, and this game was actually supposed to be based around Johnny Cage, who was actually going to be portrayed by Jean-Claude Van Damme. However, the actor turned down the role due to his filming schedule. Mortal Kombat 1. John Carlton, also known as Johnny Cage, decides to participate in the Mortal Kombat tournament and travels on a ship to Shang Tsung's island. After boarding the ship, Johnny Cage is shaken down by the Black Dragon leader known as Kano. Outnumbered by Kano and his allies, he is assisted by the Shaolin monk known as Liu Kang. The actor and the monk manage to defeat the Black Dragon clan, with Johnny Cage shadow-kicking Kano off the ship. Finally arriving at the island, Cage joins forces with Liu Kang and Sonya, a member of the United States Special Forces. The three of them formed an alliance to protect Earthrealm, with Raiden being their advisor and mentor. During the final battle of the Mortal Kombat tournament between Liu Kang and Shang Tsung, Johnny and Sonya are forced to team with Kano to fight Goro, who is attempting to intervene in the fight. After Shang Tsung's defeat, his island begins to crumble and destroy itself. Raiden is able to save Johnny Cage and drop him off at the Special Forces agency near the island. However, Sonya has apparently disappeared. At the Special Forces agency, he's interrogated by Major Jackson Briggs, who asks him the whereabouts of Sonya. Johnny tells Jax about the events of the island, but understandably the Major does not believe him. With no evidence to hold the actor, Johnny is eventually set free. Upon his release, Johnny Cage returns to acting and creates a film called Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2. The US Special Forces would receive a secret message sent from Sonya. Major Jax realized that Johnny Cage's story was in fact true, and he went to meet the superstar once more to personally apologize to the actor for disbelieving him. Not long after this, Johnny Cage was shooting a commercial and was suddenly attacked by Outward's forces. Johnny Cage was overwhelmed. However, he was assisted by his fellow Earthrealm warriors who managed to even out the playing field. Suddenly Raiden would appear and put an end to the conflict, with Shang Tsung proposing a new Mortal Kombat tournament. Once more, Johnny Cage would reunite with his allies to protect Earthrealm. Eventually Liu Kang would challenge Shao Kahn, proving that he was the real champion of Mortal Kombat, defeating the Emperor within an inch of his life. Mortal Kombat 3. After Shao Kahn's embarrassing defeat to Liu Kang, he sent extermination squads to Earthrealm and started terminating any human life. Johnny Cage was forced to fight one of the extermination squads and ended up fighting against Motaro, leader of Khan's forces. Johnny Cage would actually be killed in this conflict. Although Cage had been killed, Cage's soul was unable to ascend to a higher plane of existence and actually returned back to his body. This would allow the actor to become one of the chosen warriors to fight off against Khan's invasion. Of course, Shao Kahn would once again be defeated by Liu Kang. Mortal Kombat 4. After Shao Kahn's defeat, Johnny's soul was finally freed, which allowed him to ascend to heaven. However, Johnny's time in paradise would not last, as the fallen elder god Shinnok had attacked Earthrealm. Johnny Cage would approach Raiden and ask him to restore his deceased soul. After being restored back to life, Johnny was able to fight alongside the Earthrealm defenders against the elder god Shinnok. After Shinnok's inevitable defeat at the hands of Liu Kang, it appeared as Raiden's revival of Cage was permanent and he was not able to return back to heaven, but instead remain on Earth. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Years later, Cage would return back to being an actor, in which he participated in a film called Mortal Kombat The Death of Johnny Cage, where he was repeatedly killed and brought back to life. Cage was upset at the way he was supposed to be portrayed, believing that his own life was actually far more exciting. He wanted out the movie but couldn't due to his contract. Out of sheer luck, the actor would be approached by Raiden, who would ask him for assistance to fight against the Deadly Alliance, consisting of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung. Cage was able to find a loophole in his contract and left the movie. Cage would then arrive at Shang Tsung's island. Upon arriving at the island, he had learned of Liu Kang's death, and travelled to Outworld to help the Earthrealm defenders. Mortal Kombat Deception. Cage and the Earthrealm defenders were killed during the final assault on the Deadly Alliance, but most of them were overwhelmed by the Deadly Alliance's Tarkatan hordes. However, once again, Cage would escape death, and he was resurrected by Onaga and made into his slave. Sometime later after this, he would be freed by Ermac and the spirit of Liu Kang. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Johnny had become disheartened at the fact that Raiden had lost sight of who he was, and that Liu Kang was unable to unite with his body. Around this time, Cage had begun receiving visions of Shinnok, creating portals to travel to different realms of existence. Cage would take action and use his visions to his advantage. Johnny Cage would ambush the Elder God Shinnok and catch him off guard. He appeared to have the upper hand until the former Elder God retreated in a cloud of smoke, leaving Johnny to decide what to do next. Soon after this, Cage is seen gathering many of the Earthrealm warriors such as Nightwolf, Sub-Zero and Kenshi to create an army to fight off against the forces of darkness during the Battle of Armageddon. The resulting battle nearly killed every single combatant in Mortal Kombat history, including Johnny Cage himself, who had been decapitated by an unknown opponent. Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 is a reboot of the franchise, in which Raiden actually sends a message to his past self at the first Mortal Kombat tournament to prevent Armageddon from ever happening. Johnny Cage is seen in the first Mortal Kombat tournament, and what is the first thing he does? He begins hitting on Sonya Blade. Also, this version of Johnny Cage is a lot more annoying and a lot more arrogant than his previous versions, as we're going to see. In the first match of the Mortal Kombat tournament, Johnny is fighting against Reptile, and due to Johnny's arrogance, he actually assumes that Reptile is merely an actor. After Cage manages to defeat Asari, he celebrates his victory by pretty much being a dick and bad-mouthing all the other combatants in front of their faces, and creepily hits on Sonya Blade once more. Johnny is then ordered to fight Baraka, who he again believes is just another actor with just some kind of get-up. After defeating Baraka, he is commanded by Shang Tsung to kill him. Johnny initially takes this as a joke, however he realizes that everyone is watching him and that he's actually being serious, in which Johnny Cage then refuses to kill him. After this, he's approached by Raiden and Liu Kang, who attempt to inform him what this tournament is actually about. Johnny, however, doesn't believe anything they're saying, thinking that they're crazy. He states to them that he is only an actor, and only saves the world in front of a camera. Johnny then creepily chases after Sonya to try and ask her out on a date. Cage manages to finally find Sonya on the bridge above the pit, and continues to flirt with her. Sonya gets tired of his persistence and ends up attacking him. Cage manages to subdue the Special Forces operative, but feels guilty about hitting her. Whilst backing away from her and actually leaving Sonya alone, Kano appears and apparently throws the actor off the bridge. Johnny luckily manages to grab onto one of the edges. Kano, seeing that Sonya has been softened up from the fight with Johnny, seizes the opportunity to finish her off. Johnny manages to make his way back up on the bridge and confronts Kano. Cage manages to surprisingly hold his own against the Black Dragon arms dealer and defeats him, earning Sonya's respect and gratitude. It's around this time where he learns that Reptile and Baraka are actually real, and he's initially shocked. After this, Johnny Cage finally sides with Raiden, believing everything that he has said. Cage is then next seen when Sonya has rescued Jax. He tells her that Raiden is actually a god, and Raiden then proceeds to heal Jax from his wounds. Cage is then next seen fighting against Cyrax, who has actually been assigned by Shang Tsung to kill the actor. However, the assassin spares his life on behalf of Raiden. Due to his loss, Johnny is eliminated from this tournament. Cage is then next seen with his fellow Earthrealm warriors celebrating Liu Kang's victory over Shang Tsung, in which Johnny and many of the Earthrealm warriors are then next seen at the Wuxi Academy, in which Liu Kang is then receiving his award from Raiden. However, during the night of the celebration, Tarkatans attack the Wuxi Academy, kidnapping Sonya and knocking Jax unconscious. Johnny then travels with Jax and Raiden on a mission to save Sonya. On their journey, Cage begins questioning Jax's relationship with Sonya. Jax explains that Sonya is his commanding officer, nothing more and nothing less. However, due to Johnny Cage's persistence, Jax loses his temper and the two of them break out into a scuffle. Raiden is then forced to break up the two, and they are eventually confronted by Jade, who orders them to leave immediately. Jax manages to defeat Jade, and then apologizes to Johnny for his behavior. The three of them then proceed to the Deadpool, where Sonya is being guarded by Shiva and her guards. After defeating them, they then free Sonya, in which then Raiden orders Johnny to stay close behind him when they travel to the Living Forest. In the Living Forest, the two of them come across the ninja named Smoke and recruit him. Three of them then travel to Shao Kahn's Colosseum, where they are just in time to see Sub-Zero be captured by Lin Kuei warriors and forcibly turned into a cyborg. Raiden then realizes that his earlier actions of sparing Smoke have led to the automation of Sub-Zero. He decides to speak to Kitana, in which Johnny replies,
"Sure, let's go ruin someone else's life."
When the Earthrealm warriors attempt to approach Kitana, she attacks them, defeating Johnny Cage and Smoke. As the Earthrealm warriors continue to explore Outworld, they eventually find Jade, who tells them that Kitana has been captured. Cage is then next seen in the second Mortal Kombat tournament, where he is defeated and eliminated by Ermac. Johnny is then next seen during the Earthrealm invasion, where he is fighting Motaro in the street. Raiden intervenes and kills Motaro. This in turn alters the timeline of where he died fighting against Motaro. Cage appears with his fellow Earthrealmers discussing the situation of the invasion. However, they are ambushed by Lin Kuei cyborgs, but are successful in defeating them. But not long after this, Sindel would emerge and kill almost all the Earthrealm warriors except Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, who survived the onslaught. The two of them are then tended by Liu Kang after Sindel's death. Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade arrive just in time to see Liu Kang fighting Raiden, in which Liu Kang then attempts to kill Raiden. However, Raiden protects himself with lightning, and this merges with Liu Kang's Dragonfire, electrocuting him and burning him at the same time. The wounds would be so severe that Liu Kang would actually die from them. Johnny and Sonya would attempt to fight Shao Kahn, however he blasts them away like they were flies, knocking them unconscious. After Raiden defeats Shao Kahn with the Elder God's assistance, Johnny and Sonya help Raiden to his feet. Knowing that the fight doesn't end yet, the three of them stay in contact with each other. Due to the comics not being yet finished, I'm going to leave them out around this time. But basically what I can say around here, that's with Johnny and Sonya, is the two of them actually conceived Cassie at this point, and around this time as well they got married afterwards. And they eventually get divorced too. Mortal Kombat X. A few years after the Battle of Earthrealm, Johnny and Kenshi join Sonya and the Special Forces in a fight against Shinnok. On their journey to the Sky Temple, their aircraft is attacked by two ninjas, that being Scorpion and a revenant version of Sub-Zero. Johnny defeats both ninjas and then meets up with Kenshi and Sonya as they continue on their journey to the Sky Temple. As they approach the Sky Temple portal, they are caught out by a revenant version of Nightwolf. Johnny is then forced to fight a revenant version of Smoke, now going by the name Enra. After defeating Enra, he has to save Sonya from Jax and defeats him, promising that he will fix him someday. The three of them then arrive at the Sky Temple and travel to the Jinsei Chamber, where they are just able to save Raiden and Fujin from Shinnok's amulet. During the confrontation with Shinnok, Sonya is injured very badly, and Johnny begins emitting a green energy and fights Shinnok and manages to defeat the Elder God. Shinnok is then imprisoned within his own amulet, and Johnny tends to Sonya. Sonya begins to awake, and he is initially very happy to see that she is well. After the battle, Johnny learns from Raiden that power comes from the ancestry of Mediterranean war cults. Since he could not awake his power after the battle with Shinnok, the Elder Gods speculate that it only triggers whenever Johnny sees a loved one in danger. Around this time as well, Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage begin seeing each other, and eventually Cassie Cage is conceived. Sometime later, Johnny and Sonya infiltrate Quan Chi's fortress, where they fight the Sorcerer and his revenants. Johnny defeats Sub-Zero and Jax, but is later stabbed in the back by Jax. As he lays dying, his revenant form starts to emerge and take form. Luckily, Raiden arrives and stops the process of Johnny Cage transforming into a revenant, and even saves his life along with Revenant Sub-Zero, Scorpion and Jax. Eventually, Johnny and Sonya get married, in which they then raise their daughter Cassie. However, Sonya gets caught up with work a lot, and she spends a lot less time at home. This initially angers Johnny, which then leads the two of them to divorce. Many years later, Johnny creates his own team consisting of Cassie, Jackie, Takeda and Kung Jin. He then sends them out on their first mission to the Lin Kuei Temple to talk to Sub-Zero if he's still their ally. It is later revealed that Johnny and Sub-Zero have set this up so the Grand Master can test their skills as a team. After their mission, they are called back to base by Sonya, where they learn from the refugee leader Li Mei that Mileena is in possession of Shinnok's amulet. They find out that Kano is among the refugees as well. Johnny prepares to go with Sonya, but she orders him to talk to Colonel Flag to keep him away. Johnny angrily confronts Sonya, saying that she put more time into her family than her job, then they might still be together. Johnny is next seen when Sonya finds and defeats Kano. She begins choking him and nearly killing him. Johnny pleads to her to stop so that they can find out where the amulet's location is. Sonya complies and Kano talks. Johnny joins Sonya at Jax's home to help persuade him and help him capture Quan Chi. After Jax succeeds in capturing Quan Chi, the Sorcerer is brought back to Earthrealm as a prisoner so Raiden can make him undo the spell on his revenants. However, Hanzo Hasashi has infiltrated the base to kill the Sorcerer for the murder of his clan and family. Johnny, Sonya and Kenshi try to stop him, but they are all defeated and bounded. After Quan Chi's decapitation and Shinnok's release from his amulet, Johnny is then taken captive to the Sky Temple by Shinnok and his revenants. At the Jinsei, Johnny is bounded by Deborah as Shinnok corrupts Earthrealm's life force. Deborah then unleashes her flesh-eating bugs on Johnny, leaving horrible scars on his face. Cassie arrives and manages to defeat Deborah. As she tries to free Johnny, Johnny pleads for her to stop Shinnok first. During the fight, Shinnok begins to drain Johnny's life force with his amulet, causing Johnny to scream in pain. Cassie steps in and unleashes her inherited powers of green energy, and she manages to defeat Shinnok. After Raiden heals a Jinsei, Johnny is attended to by his daughter. Sonya later arrives, in which he then tells Sonya about how great of a job Cassie did at defeating Shinnok. Sonya then tells him he did a great job with his team and causes Johnny, something that he is glad to hear, which in turn does spark a little bit of love between the two characters once more. And this is the end of the Johnny Cage video. It was actually pretty good. I was never really a big fan of Johnny Cage during MK9 because he was a bit of a douchebag, especially with the fact that he had his name tattooed on his chest. But I have to admit, in Mortal Kombat X, he really does redeem himself and he's a very, very good father figure in it. Anyway guys, here's a little preview for next week's episode.
Beloved I am Empress of Outworld.
Yeah, so I finally decided to do Mileena since I got a lot of people requesting to actually do Mileena representing Realm and the Elder Gods. The Sorcerer would be sentenced to death until the Dark Emperor Shao Kahn approached him. Shao Kahn would take advantage of this situation and make a deal with Shang Tsung, saying that if he swore complete and utter allegiance towards him, he would be spared. Shang Tsung would agree, and would be taken to Outworld and trained by the Emperor in the Black Arts. Shang Tsung would be cursed by the Elder Gods to not only kill his enemies, but to take their souls. Another side effect of the curse was that the fact that Shang Tsung would age rapidly. After a few years, Shang Tsung would enter the Mortal Kombat tournament and quickly overcome his competition, becoming the Grand Champion. It is unknown how long he would hold this title for, but he would eventually lose it to the legendary Shaolin monk, the Great Kung Lao. Shang Tsung would return many years later with his greatest student, the Shogun Prince Goro. During this time as well, Shang Tsung had become the overseer of the tournament. This was due to 3 of the Grand Masters mysteriously dying. During this tournament, the Great Kung Lao would be defeated and killed by Goro, and Shang Tsung would consume his soul. Whilst this would begin Outworld's domination of the Mortal Kombat tournament. Mortal Kombat. Over the next 500 years, Goro would remain undefeated. During this time period, Shang Tsung would meet Ken Chi and be responsible for blinding the swordsman by tricking him into opening a well, releasing thousands of souls that would blind him. During this time as well, he would spar against the very young Shujinko to determine whether or not he would allow him to participate in the tournament. The fight would end in a draw, with Shang Tsung granting Shujinko the opportunity to participate, but he would decline. Shang Tsung would return to the Mortal Kombat tournament, with Outworld only needing one more victory to invade Earth. But this idea would be destroyed, as Liu Kang not only defeated Goro, but also Shang Tsung. With Shang Tsung now defeated, he would flee to Outworld as his island slowly fell apart. After his defeat, he would be brought before Shao Kahn. Shang Tsung would beg for his life before the Emperor, and was nearly killed until he came up with the idea of how they could invade Earthrealm another way. He told the tyrant that if they challenged Earthrealm to Mortal Kombat in Outworld, they would have to accept or forfeit. Shao Kahn would agree to this plan and rejuvenate Shang Tsung. Mortal Kombat 2. During the tournament, despite having his youth restored, he would still lose to Liu Kang. Shao Kahn would not fare any better, as he was also defeated by Liu Kang. After his embarrassing defeat, Shao Kahn would cast out all of the Earthrealm warriors and begin an invasion. This would involve a deal with Quan Chi and Shinnok to resurrect Sindel. With Queen Sindel now alive in Earthrealm, Shao Kahn could reach across and reclaim her, forcing the realms to merge with each other. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. During the Earthrealm invasion, Shang Tsung would lead one of Shao Kahn's extermination squads to hunt down the fighters that Raiden had protected. Despite being at the peak of his power, he still was not able to defeat Liu Kang. After Shao Kahn's defeat, Shang Tsung would be taken back to Outworld. He would then be imprisoned and tortured for his failure to help his master merge the two realms. He would later be released after doing Shao Kahn's bidding and slowly regaining his favor. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. A few years later, Shang Tsung would find Quan Chi in the palace courtyard fighting Scorpion. After Quan Chi disposes of Scorpion, he approaches Shang Tsung and makes an offer with the sorcerer. The offer was that Shang Tsung helped him in reviving the lost army of the Dragon King, then he would open up a Soulnado to the heavens, giving him an endless supply of souls to feed on. Shang Tsung would accept the offer, and together they formed the Deadly Alliance. The two wished to execute their plans as soon as possible, but first they needed to remove two of the largest obstacles in their way, and it was to eliminate Shao Kahn and Liu Kang. The two were able to get rid of Shao Kahn and Liu Kang, but they did not fully trust each other. This would lead to the two plotting behind each other's back, with Shang Tsung making a deal with Oni, Drumming and Molo to eliminate Quan Chi after their plans had been approved. The Deadly Alliance gained Kano as ally, used his troops to force a small Outworld village to construct a new palace around the tomb of the Dragon King to house the Soulnado. During this time as well, they had approached Movado, offered him a deal. He could earn the right to fight and kill Kano in exchange for eliminating Ken Chi, who had been spying on Shun. Movado was able to accomplish his mission, and the Alliance granted him his wish. It is not much later that the forces of Earthrealm attacked. Mortal Kombat Deception. The two were able to defeat the Earthrealm champions and even defeat the Thunder God Raiden. The victory would not be savoured, as Shang Tsung's lust for power and Quan Chi's suspicion finally came to light. The two would fight, with Quan Chi emerging victorious. Immediately after this, the reborn Dragon King Onaga would walk into the temple. This would lead to a new alliance being made between the Thunder God Raiden and Shang Tsung and Quan Chi in a failed attempt to try and kill Onaga. Raiden was forced to sacrifice his own life in a large blast, which caught Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, actually killing Shang Tsung, releasing thousands of souls that he had consumed over the years, including the soul of Liu Kang. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Shang Tsung's own soul was magically drawn towards Outworld, in which he was found by Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn then provided Shang Tsung with his host body, and then allied with him, taking back his kingdom of Melina. Although Shang Tsung was now bound to Shao Kahn, an opportunity arose where he could sever the tie. However, this is never really explained. Shang Tsung is briefly seen in the conquest mode of the game, where Taven spots the sorcerer forming an alliance with Onaga, Shao Kahn and Quan Chi. During the Battle of Armageddon, Shang Tsung is wanted to the battle and nearly reached the top of the pyramid of Argus. On his journey to the top, he is forced to fight Shao Kahn and even the undead body of Liu Kang. Shang Tsung nearly reaches the top of the pyramid until the undead Liu Kang holds him back, and Blaze finally emerges. He is however seen at the beginning of Mortal Kombat 9 dead. Mortal Kombat 9. In the first Mortal Kombat, he appears as an elderly man. Shang Tsung is the overseer of the tournament and decides to go fight against Liu. He forces Johnny Cage, the first of the Earthrealm fighters, to fight after making insults towards him. Despite the odds, Johnny Cage manages to overcome every challenge thrown at him. He is later seen after Sonya Blade manages to free her superior Jax from imprisonment. He would also prevent them from leaving the island by shooting down a rescue helicopter. He is also later informed that the Lin Kuei warrior Cyrax has been tortured to confront Raiden. Shang Tsung believes that he will be betrayed by Cyrax and sends Baraka and Chi to assassinate him. Cyrax manages to defeat the two and confront the sorcerer. An argument ensues between the two until Sector appears and reassures the sorcerer that Cyrax is on the way. After Johnny Cage would be defeated by Cyrax, Shang Tsung would order him to kill the actor. The ninja would refuse to do this and walk out of the tournament. The final Earthrealm competitor, Liu Kang, would remain, and Shang Tsung would attempt to stack the deck against him. Each attempt, however, would fail, as Liu Kang defeated everyone, including Goro. This would lead to the final fight, which Shang Tsung lost. This would spare Earthrealm from being merged into Outworld. When Shang Tsung is returned to Outworld, he is put before Shao Kahn and is almost executed for his failure. Shang Tsung then proposes a new idea for a single tournament to be held in Outworld, and Shao Kahn agrees to this and then rejuvenates the sorcerer. Shang Tsung then travels to the Wushu Academy to tell Raiden of the latest tournament. When Raiden rejects the offer, Shang Tsung opens a portal from Outworld to the Wuxi Academy, releasing thousands of Tarkatans to attack and kill the Shaolin. A fight ensues between the two, until Shang Tsung travels back to Outworld, capturing Sonya Blade. During the events of the second tournament, Shang Tsung is seen as more than an advisor. When Jax impulsively steps up to the Emperor Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung announces that they have a volunteer for the first battle. This would lead to a fight between Baraka and Jax. After defeating Tarkatan, he would confront Shang Tsung and demand to know where Sonya Blade is. The sorcerer would make a sly remark about how Jax and Sonya always had to rescue each other, until he disappears to attend to some important business. Shang Tsung is later seen in the Living Forest, buying weapons from Kano. They are interrupted by Smoke, who wishes to know how the Elder Sub-Zero died. After Kano fails to defeat the Lin Kuei ninja, Shang Tsung morphs into the Elder Sub-Zero and partners with Reptile in an attempt to stop Smoke. The two are defeated, but before Smoke could get any information out of him, he is attacked by Sector. Shang Tsung is later seen in Shao Kahn's arena, still organizing matches, when the younger Sub-Zero appears and demands to fight Scorpion. Shang Tsung tells him that no one makes demands of the Emperor, and orders Reptile to battle him. Shang Tsung is later seen after Kitana has discovered and defeated Melina in his flesh pits. The sorcerer attempts to convince her that he's trying to perfect her by creating clones, but she is not convinced, and a fight breaks out. Kitana defeats him, and drags him before Shao Kahn. Kitana is shocked when Shao Kahn praises him, revealing that he knew all along about Shang Tsung's activities. During the near end of the second Mortal Kombat tournament, Shang Tsung teams up with Quan Chi in an attempt to stop Kung Lao. The Shaolin proves to be too much as they are both overpowered by him. After Shao Kahn's defeat and apparent death at the hands of Liu Kang, Shang Tsung is among the Outworld generals deciding who should take Shao Kahn's place as Emperor. Shang Tsung wishes to become the new Emperor, but Shao Kahn emerges, still alive. Shang Tsung is shocked how Shao Kahn is still alive, and Shao Kahn is furious as he can no longer merge Outworld with Earthrealm. Quan Chi, however, suggests that there's an alternate way that involves reviving Queen Sindel in Earthrealm. During the invasion of Earthrealm, Cabal, a former friend and ally of Kano, is badly burned by Kintaro. Kano brings back Cabal to Outworld, where Shang Tsung uses his magic to heal some of Cabal's wounds. After Motaro is killed by Raiden during the Earthrealm invasion, the recently revived Sindel states that she will finish what Motaro has started. To ensure her success, Shao Kahn would drain all of the souls from Shang Tsung's body, transferring them to Sindel, and seemingly killing the sorcerer. And that's it for Shang Tsung, guys. I really enjoyed covering him as he is one of my favourite villains of the series. He does make a small cameo in Mortal Kombat 11 in like an arcade ending tower for Ermac, which kind of does imply that he might come back in Mortal Kombat 11, but remember it's arcade tower ending, so take it with a grain of salt. Anyway guys, let me know, would you want Shang Tsung to come back in the next game, or keep him dead? Comment below, let me know. As a finale for the Mortal Kombat series and the coverage that I'm doing on my channel, over the next few days I'm actually going to be covering the main storylines for the games and what's happened. I will also be announcing the winner for the competition I was holding on Christmas Day. Anyway, as always guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, history behind the warrior, and today I'm going to be talking about Baraka. Baraka is an alpha male Tarkatan. Tarkatans are half human, half demon hybrids that come from Outworld. This would be partially retconned in the future, but in the original timeline, they come from Outworld. Tarkatans are vicious brutes, known for being very unintelligent and bloodthirsty, with the one exception being Baraka, which is why he's the alpha male of the group. At a certain age, Tarkatan males must survive the brutal ritual of blood. If they succeed, they can join Shao Kahn's army. Mortal Kombat 2. During the events of the second Mortal Kombat tournament, Baraka would lead an attack against the Wushu Academy with a horde of Tarkatans. This would kill many of the Shaolin monks, which made Liu Kang want to seek vengeance against Shao Kahn. And this would slowly build up to the second Mortal Kombat tournament. During the events of the second tournament, Baraka would conspire with Mileena to overthrow Shao Kahn, and then rule Outworld together. This plan would never come to fruition as Mileena was murdered by Kitana, and Shao Kahn was defeated by Liu Kang. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. After Shao Kahn's defeat by the hands of Liu Kang, Shao Kahn, out of spite and rage, would begin an invasion of Earthrealm. During the invasion, Shao Kahn would enlist Baraka as one of his generals. After Shao Kahn's defeat, it is later revealed that Baraka was in
Welcome to another episode of Untold Legends, where we explore the stories found within the worlds of video games, movies, comic books, and anything in between. Last time in the Mortal Kombat timeline, we detailed the history of Reptile, Mortal Kombat's lizard man, and in many cases, unfortunate punching bag.
All deals are off!
We saw his introduction as the series' first secret character, his constant manipulation by evil sorcerers, gods, and warlords, his possession and mutation into Onaga the Dragon King, and ultimately the discovery that his people were secretly alive and well in Earthrealm. Today, we're gonna have some fun and go into the truly ridiculous. And it's Halloween time, so it's a perfect time to cover the unusual, yet awesome inclusion of horror movie monsters into the series. It's no secret that the creators of Mortal Kombat are huge fans of pop culture and movies, and eventually they decided to include some of the most recognizable movie monsters into the lore through downloadable content. And of course, these characters were never intended to be official combatants with a serious story role to play in the universe. Just fun additions to an already over-the-top storyline. So in this video, we're gonna hone in on who they are, what they do, and what consequences their victories bring to the world of Mortal Kombat. This trend that hopefully results in a full horror monster fighting game by NetherRealm Studios started with Mortal Kombat 9's introduction of Freddy Krueger. Sadly, due to issues with licensing, they couldn't secure the likeness of classic Freddy and had to go with the reboot appearance. But it is still Freddy nonetheless.
Freddy wins.
And who is is Freddy Krueger, one of Earthrealm's most terrifying killers, a dream demon that preys on his victims when they're at their most vulnerable. In life, he was a cruel child murderer and serial killer until the parents of Elm Street banded together and took the law into their own hands. They burned Freddy alive and sent him plummeting to hell, until he returned as an angry spirit with the ability to kill his victims through their dreams. Freddy entered the Mortal Kombat tournament and the physical world armed with his trademark striped sweater, razor gloves, and hat to satisfy his bloodlust. In his Mortal Kombat 9 ending, Freddy destroys Shao Kahn and unintentionally saves Earthrealm from his grasp, but the shaman Nightwolf recognized him as an evil spirit and performed a ritual to send him back into the dream world. Freddy didn't resist, and he welcomed a return to his previous state, where his dream powers returned to him, and he continued pursuing Earthrealm's children through their nightmares. In Mortal Kombat X, the story of Shinnok's invasion of Earthrealm was infiltrated by more horrific monsters. The alien species known as the Xenomorph is one of the most invasive and dangerous species in the universe. Creatures that depend on other organisms to create new life forms. A Xenomorph queen lays eggs that hatch into new creatures that attach to the faces of other beings. While attached, this facehugger inserts an embryo that acts almost as a cancerous growth inside the chest of its victims. This growth forms itself by absorbing its host's own biological material, then painfully bursting through the chest, in an appearance genetically mixing traits from the now deceased host. In a very short time, the baby chest burster grows into the adult Xenomorph, and long ago the Xenomorphs descended upon Outworld and left behind their eggs. They'd been dormant for years and were discovered by a patrol of Tarkatan warriors. One of the eggs hatched and attached itself to one of them, creating a chest burster that escaped and grew to adulthood with Tarkatan DNA, and the same deadly blades they carried. The Xenomorph responded to its own internal animal instincts, and it began roaming Outworld for new hosts. In its Mortal Kombat X ending, it tore through Shinnok's flesh and reduced him to a bloody pulp. It returned to its Outworld nest and continued bringing different species with him to establish a new hive. After multiple victims, a new queen spawned, and the hive multiplied quickly, made from the genetic material of Shokans, Atera, and Edenians, any species they came across. The diverse Xenomorph horde spread unchecked through the realms, and Kotal Khan fought back in a desperate attempt to save his world. But he failed, and Outworld became a wasteland dominated by the Xenomorphs. The combat between the realms also attracted another alien species, the Predator, an alien species known as the Yaoya from the planet Yaoya Prime. The Predators came from a society where hunting for sport was everything. Young Predators ventured out to prove themselves, and experienced Predators sought out the most dangerous prey. They had a long history with other species too, often visiting Earthrealm, and early humans saw predators as gods, and they used humans as hosts to bring forth new Xenomorphs for them to hunt. Predators are focused on becoming the greatest hunters in the multiverse. One even joined the DC Comics Sinestro Corps to spread fear with a power ring of its own. Earthrealm produced many skilled warriors, and they provided excellent sport and trophies for the Predator. In its Mortal Kombat X ending, the Predator killed Shinnok. The species was always seeking to improve itself using technology, but he discovered a new type of weapon, sorcery. The Predator took Shinnok's amulet and studied it, unlocking its secrets and harnessing its power. From that day forth, Predator became an unstoppable force of destruction. and expanded its hunt on a multiversal scale. It single-handedly decimated entire worlds and became the true apex predator. In the Earth-realm state of Texas, the cannibalistic Sawyer family spent their time murdering innocent travelers and processing their flesh into barbecue and chili. They sold their delicious meals at their gas station restaurant and used the bones from their victims to decorate the inside of their home. The youngest, immensely childlike member of the family, Jebediah Sawyer, did everything his family told him to. He used to work as a butcher and used his skills to cut up their victims with his trusty family chainsaw. Jebediah came to be known as Leatherface due to his love of wearing his victim's skin and faces to hide his own. One day his brothers told him he wasn't allowed back in the house until he brought back the best chili meat that he could find. Leatherface sought out to find the meat and discovered a strange portal. He walked through and found himself in Outworld, a strange new place with all sorts of meat. He discovered his favorite kind was kitten meat. In his Mortal Kombat X ending, Leatherface killed Shinnok, believing that he was just a strange old man. During his battles, he caught a glimpse of Cassie Cage and developed an obsessive crush for her. He cut off Shinnok's face to impress her and rampaged through Special Forces base to show her. But instead of being impressed, Cassie was horrified. She didn't want his present, and she wasn't very nice. If she wouldn't be his girlfriend, he would have her in other ways. Leatherface cut her into little pieces for his chili and returned home with his new recipes. The final movie monster added into Mortal Kombat is the unstoppable campground killer Jason Voorhees. As a child, he looked different than the other kids and often spent time at Camp Crystal Lake, where his mother worked as a cook. One day, Jason was being bullied, and he was thrown into the waters of Camp Crystal Lake and drowned. The counselors that were supposed to be watching him were too busy frolicking in the woods, and Jason's mother took brutal revenge. But she lost her life, and Jason reawakened as an unstoppable killer, slaughtering any teens in his way and campers that dare step into his territory. He's been shot, he's been stabbed, electrocuted, sent into space, sent to hell, but Jason Voorhees cannot be stopped. He will always return to stalk his victims. He has no specific reason of entering into the world of Mortal Kombat, but many combatants fell to his machete. Either way. Mortal Kombat X ending, he killed Shinnok and was being watched by the Revenant Emperor of the Netherworld, Liu Kang. Liu Kang was impressed and believed that he could use Jason in his conquest of other realms. He offered Jason an endless supply of victims as long as he pledged his loyalty. Jason Voorhees cannot be controlled, and he answered. That is the complete history of horror movie monsters within the universe of Mortal Kombat. Since you made it to the end of this video, I assume you enjoyed it, so why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, links in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can join my Patreon or become a channel member. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Video games, movies, comic books, and anything in between. Last episode of Combat 9 Life covered the story of Kano's Black Dragon. Characters that Kano depends on and things done. Covered their origins outside of the main series, their various appearances, and lasting impacts among the fan base.
The Black Dragon died with Kano. You're the last one, Derek.
Today we detail one of the coolest looking characters in the entire series, the cybernetic, almost militant force of evil, Cyber Linque Unit LK-9T9, otherwise known as Sector.
I will show no mercy. You are not so
Online. Combat suit. Rank set.
In the Mortal Kombat timeline, we detail the history of one of Earthrealm's greatest heroes and fiercest protectors, the brother of Bi-Han, Kuai Liang, the younger Sub-Zero.
Conquer. Customize characters.
I disown you in every way. Then disown my name, Sub-Zero. The name was grandfather's first. Round one, fight.
We saw Kuai Liang adopt his brother's identity to honor him, his quest to destroy the Cyber Lin Kuei and retake his clan, and his eventual friendship with Hanzo Hasashi after years of tensions and rivalry. Today, we'll be discussing one of the most unique combatants in the series and one of the strangest, changing appearances from game to game, from just another ninja-style character to a dinosaur monster. One of Mortal Kombat's most popular punching bags and tattletales, this is the story of Syzoth, more commonly referred to as Reptile.
Shao Kahn's lackeys must die.
I served you well.
You served me his lies.
Reptile wins.
Many players associate Reptile's original appearance with Mortal Kombat 2, since that was the first time he was playable, but he was in the original game as an unplayable character. Like so many combatants that would pop up throughout the series, he joins the ranks of those that began as secrets, rumors, and whispers among friends at the arcade. The addition of Reptile in the Mortal Kombat series came late in the development process, and originated in Ed Boon's mind as he was driving back from lunch one day. He noted how successful of a process it was changing a character's color and moveset to create a brand new character. After discussions with co-creator John Tobias, they decided to include a super secret hidden feature, and the concept of Reptile was developed in one evening. Another ninja-style character with green clothing versus Sub-Zero and Scorpion's blue and yellow. He was described as being a cooler version of Scorpion, and Reptile was added into the original roster of combatants in the 3.0 version of the arcade, as a non-playable secret character with no backstory and no name of his own. Developers used his inclusion as a marketing tactic, hoping that word of mouth from players would fuel rumors of Reptile's existence. Sometimes Reptile would appear before matches, giving players clues on how to encounter him, such as "Look to La Luna," implying that the secret to Reptile had to do with the moon. To fight him, the player had to get a double flawless victory without blocking, in single-player mode on the pit stage, and finish the match with a fatality. But that wasn't enough. There also had to be a silhouette of Santa Claus flying past the moon, something that occurred in every 6th game. With these conditions satisfied, Reptile would reveal himself in a secret battle. At the time, this mystery character shared the name of Scorpion on his health bar, and his moves were a combination of both Sub-Zero and Scorpion. He could use a kunai to bring his opponent in for a free hit, and he could also shoot an ice blast to freeze them. Over time, false rumors spread that he was secretly playable, and these rumors fueled his appearance in Mortal Kombat 2 as a regular selectable fighter, complete with the name Reptile, and a unique moveset of his own. He became a well-known established character in the series, and his appearance over time continued to evolve into a more reptilian form, purposely hinting at a larger role for the character eventually. He was also included in NBA Jam Tournament Edition alongside other Mortal Kombat characters as an unlockable player, but was removed in later versions at the request of the NBA. Reptile might have lost his amazing basketball skills, but his fatalities were always quite impressive. They usually revolved around gobbling up his opponents or horribly burning them with acid attacks. But how did a lizard man end up in the Mortal Kombat series? And where did he come from? Reptile's actual name is Syzoth, and he belongs to a race of reptilian beings that have been known by many names throughout the series. Raptors, Zatarans, more commonly Saurians. Originally, they were native to Earthrealm and evolved from dinosaurs. They developed complex thought, several abilities such as turning invisible, and being able to shift their appearance slightly to appear more human-like. Saurian society was matriarchal in nature, a society in which females held positions of power and leadership. matriarch had a biological influence on the rest of the Saurians, and if one of them drifted away from her influence for too long, they would lose their ability to appear human over time, slowly devolving back into a reptilian form. Eons ago, when the elder god of death Shinnok turned against his fellow elder gods, Raiden and his brethren fought against him. The conflict devastated Earthrealm, and the Saurians fled the destruction, escaping into the realm of Zatera, a realm that originally had heavy rains and forests. The Saurian refugees rebuilt their society, and they thrived, claiming Zatera as their own realm. When the Outworld warlord Shao Kahn traveled from realm to realm, he set his sights on Zatera. After 10 straight losses in Mortal Kombat, Shao Kahn earned the right to merge the realm with Outworld, and most of the Saurians were driven to extinction, except for a small number of survivors. Zatera was mostly forgotten as one of the many realms forming the Outworld. During the time of the original Mortal Kombat, Reptile was a servant of Shao Kahn, while most of his people became slaves in his empire. Shang Tsung was mostly responsible for representing Outworld in the Mortal Kombat tournaments, something that drew many assassination attempts towards him, and Reptile was assigned to be his direct guardian, protecting him from harm. During the original Mortal Kombat, he stayed camouflaged throughout the tournament, unseen by most, and watched over Shang Tsung. He watched his master lose his match against Liu Kang, and returned to Shao Kahn for further instructions. But Shao Kahn was enraged that his opportunity to take Earthrealm was gone, and took his anger out on Reptile. During the events of Mortal Kombat 2, and Shao Kahn's second attempt to defeat Earthrealm's warriors, Shao Kahn gave orders to Reptile directly, and promised to release the Saurians from slavery if Outworld won. Shao Kahn had no intentions of fulfilling his promise, but Reptile followed his orders anyways. Suspicions were also growing around Shao Kahn's daughter Kitana. She had been in communication with Earthrealm fighters, and Reptile had followed her, but Kitana knew Reptile well and attacked him. Shao Kahn felt no surprise that Kitana would betray him, and the younger Sub-Zero was also on a mission to assassinate Shang Tsung for the Lin Kuei. He surprised the sorcerer, but the ever-watchful Reptile stopped the assassination. Before he had a chance to kill Sub-Zero, Scorpion saved his life and fought Reptile off. Scorpion had taken an oath to protect the younger brother of his old enemy, and kept him at bay while Sub-Zero escaped. Without Reptile as protection, Liu Kang was able to defeat Shang Tsung again, Kintaro, and Shao Kahn in combat. In his non-canon Mortal Kombat 2 ending, Reptile wanted to free his people from slavery, turned against Shang Tsung, and defeated Shao Kahn, then lived peacefully among his people. In the canon version of events, after Shao Kahn's defeat, he invaded Earthrealm directly and vowed to kill Kitana for betraying him. He sent Kitana's longtime friend Jade and Reptile together to capture her, but Reptile was given secret orders. Jade would never take Kitana's life. Shao Kahn knew that. Reptile was secretly commanded to assassinate Kitana, and was promised that his race would be resurrected if he succeeded. Another lie from the Emperor taking advantage of him. In his non-canon Mortal Kombat 3 and Trilogy ending, Reptile successfully kills Kitana, returns to Shao Kahn for his reward, but he is shunned. Then Reptile murders him. In the canon version of events, Reptile and Jade track down Kitana, and Jade tries to convince her to return to Shao Kahn. But Jade realized that Reptile had been sent to end her life, and Jade joined Kitana and protected her from Reptile. He had failed again, and Liu Kang saved Earthrealm from the Outworld invasion. In the aftermath of Khan's attack, the realm of Edenia was freed, and Sindel and Kitana took over once again as the royal family, and Reptile was brought back to Edenia as a prisoner and tried for genocide for helping Khan's forces. Reptile felt no regret and was proud to have served his emperor, something he believed he was doing for his people. He was found guilty and exiled into the Netherrealm, but this punishment would actually benefit Reptile. Shinnok was preparing to escape the Netherrealm, and Reptile grasped the opportunity to join his army of darkness. He hoped that his service would convince Shinnok to restore the Saurian race, and he was made a commander of Shinnok's demon forces. In his non-canon Mortal Kombat 4 and Gold ending, he tries convincing Shinnok to send him back in time to be with his people.
Quan Chi, I have served our Lord Shinnok well in the destruction of Earth's warriors.
Yes, we are most appreciative of your efforts.
Now I wish to return in time to my home world before it was destroyed at the hands of Shao Kahn. As the new ruler supreme of all reality, Shinnok alone has the power to grant me this wish.
You dare make such an impetuous request from your lord and master?
It is a simple request for one of such great power.
It is also not worth his attention.
I demand it if it were not for warriors such as myself. His attack against Raiden's forces would have failed.
Perhaps you can convey your feelings to Shinnok himself.
What?
Infidel! You are in no position to demand anything. I could kill you
We had a deal.
A deal? I am not a god of my word, reptile. All deals are off.
In the canon version of events, Shinnok is defeated by Liu Kang, and Reptile flees into Outworld. In the Outworld, he returned to the weakened Shao Kahn's side, actually the secret clone of himself that Shao Kahn had created. During this time, Reptile had begun reverting into a more reptilian form. He had been separated from his people for so long, the effects were becoming more extreme. He had regrown a tail, and his intellect was also being affected. He struggled to keep control of himself, and while the armies of Edenia and Outworld were fighting for control of the realm, Reptile stayed out of the conflict, protecting Shao Kahn. Kahn requested the services of Shang Tsung, and Reptile was sent to retrieve the sorcerer. But when he arrived, from the shadows he witnessed Shang Tsung and Quan Chi forming an alliance, and planning Shao Kahn's murder. Reptile rushed to inform him, but he was distracted by a woman named Natara, a self-serving vampire from the realm of Paternus. She was seeking the power to separate her realm from Outworld. She needed a magical orb outside of her reach, needed allies to help her. Cyrax had the technology she needed to reach it, and she manipulated Reptile into fighting Cyrax. Reptile damaged Cyrax's arm panel that held his transportation technology, and that left him stranded in Outworld. Natara offered to help him return to Earthrealm if he helped her retrieve the orb, and Cyrax agreed. Manipulating both warriors, she also gave Reptile lost knowledge about his civilization and gave him the Kirahashi Blade, an ancient Zaterran artifact as proof of her knowledge. She had also learned the location of Kitana's Edenian forces and shared this with Reptile, pledged his loyalty to Natara, and raced back to Shao Kahn to tell him everything he had learned. But when he arrived, it was too late. The Shao Kahn doppelganger had been killed by Quan Chi and Shang Tsung. Reptile searched for Cyrax and Natara to avenge Shao Kahn. Had he been there, he may have been able to protect the Emperor. Reptile followed her trail, and it led to a chamber holding a dragon egg. Natara and Cyrax were gone to the door of the chamber held, but before Reptile could leave, the egg hatched, and a blast of energy was sent into Reptile's body. Reptile was twisted and transformed, losing his personality completely. Onaga the Dragon King had been reborn. He used Reptile's body to host his physical form. Reptile was no more, and only the Dragon King remained. Onaga began his attack by reclaiming his immortal army and standing against the combined might of Raiden, Quan Chi, and Shang Tsung. A powerful blast of energy was sent towards him, but Onaga's new physical form was powerful. Eventually, Shijinko, with the combined might of the surrounding combatants, was able to defeat Onaga, but Onaga's spirit had to be separated from Reptile's body. Nightwolf was experienced in many spiritual abilities and traveled to the Netherrealm. He formed a binding spell and summoned Onaga's soul, but plummeted into the depths of the Netherrealm, and Onaga was trapped, leaving Reptile's body to revert to a more humanoid form. Reptile's unconscious body was found by the Red Dragon clan, and he was taken to their base, where they also captured the dragon Kara. They offered to combine Reptile's genetic material with Kara's to create a race of reptilian-human hybrids. Reptile believed this to be an alternate way to revive his race and agreed. He watched over the Red Dragon's experiments and encountered the half-god Taven on a quest to defeat the elemental Blaze.
Close the portal, dragon. I command you.
Karo! Get away from him, lizard!
I am Reptile, and I do not answer to you. Fight!
Reptile escaped, and the Battle of Armageddon was drawing near. Blaze was threatening all of reality, and whoever destroyed him would gain his power. Reptile joined Shinnok's forces of darkness in the final battle. In his non-canon Mortal Kombat Armageddon ending, Reptile discovers a sarcophagus holding a female Zaterran and a chance to restore his race.
As the shockwave caused by Blaze's death rattled the surrounding crater, the pyramid on which Reptile stood began to crumble. A fissure opened to reveal a sarcophagus of familiar design. Reptile unlocked the curious artifact to find a female Zaterran. As she awoke, Reptile felt himself slowly reverting back to his humanoid form. The glory of Zaterra will return once more.
In the canon version of events, Reptile died, fighting for the power of Blaze, and the alternate timeline was created when Raiden sent a message to the past warning his younger self about Shao Kahn's rise to power. Reptile played a much more prominent role in the original tournament. In this new era, Reptile was the last known member of the Saurians. He would give anything or destroy anyone to bring his people back. Before the first tournament began, he was ordered by Shao Kahn to spy on Shang Tsung and do anything he needed to ensure an outworld victory. Kahn was suspicious that the sorcerer was concocting plans of his own. Reptile's main loyalty lied with Shao Kahn, and he agreed. But Reptile's specialties worked best in the capacity of a spy, and Shang Tsung used him as a combatant for Outworld. His first opponent was Johnny Cage, and he lost.
Nice stunt. Who's your agent? Begin! All right, it's showtime!
Johnny Cage wins.
That's it. Ha ha! Oh yeah, I'm so pretty.
After Shang Tsung was defeated, Reptile assisted in bringing him in front of Shao Kahn to face judgment. But Reptile knew that he had also failed Shao Kahn as well, and lost favor in the Emperor's eye. He knew his life was in danger and slept with one eye open. And one night, Shao Kahn sent one of his best generals to assassinate Reptile, an Osh-Tech warrior named Kotal. But Kotal saw the value a being such as Reptile offered, and decided not to kill him. Instead, he requested that Reptile be allowed into his ranks. Putting trust in his commander, Shao Kahn allowed Reptile to live, and Kotal would be his leader in the chain of command, an action that earned Reptile's respect. During the second tournament, Reptile stayed beside Shang Tsung's side as his guardian, and informed him that Kano had arrived with a stockpile of weapons for Outworld. In the living forest, while finalizing the weapons deal, Reptile and Shang Tsung faced smoke.
Tell me what you know of Sub-Zero's death.
Despite his failure at my tournament, I wager he was more powerful than you, Lin Kuei.
Assuming his form will not give you his skill, shapeshifter.
Let us see if smoke can freeze. Smoke wins.
Later in the final rounds of the tournament, Reptile was summoned again to fight the younger Sub-Zero, seeking revenge over Bihan's death.
Shao Kahn, I challenge Scorpion, the murderer of my brother. You will bring him before me.
No one makes demands of the Emperor. Reptile!
Sub-Zero wins. I would kill you, but that is not my purpose here.
In his non-canon Mortal Kombat 9 ending, Reptile forces Shang Tsung to recreate his race and leads legions loyal to him.
He forced Shang Tsung to regenerate his raptor race. The process took agonizing months, but soon Reptile heard the snarls of young broodlings throughout the fledglings. Eventually, Shang Tsung had created an army of raptor warriors bred to serve Reptile. They stormed the realm, killing any Tarkat, Shokan, or Centaur who opposed Reptile's rule. The intoxicating feeling of uniting with his people blinded Reptile to the suffering of his former comrades. Reptile was home once more.
In the canon version of events, Liu Kang defeated Shao Kahn and the invasion of Earthrealm begins. The last time Reptile is seen in Mortal Kombat 9, he's fighting alongside Outworld forces and scales a building when he sees Stryker and Cabal.
What is that? I'm thinking shoot first, ask questions later. Fine with me.
Eventually, the Earthrealm invasion fails, and Raiden sends Shao Kahn to his punishment by the Elder Gods. Shao Kahn's sudden disappearance throws Outworld into chaos, and Mileena takes the opportunity to step in as its new ruler, declaring that she was Shao Kahn's daughter and true heir to the throne. Her rule was even more tyrannical than Kahn's was, and she was known as the Mad Empress. Kotal took it upon himself to speak out against Mileena and her rule, and she furiously attacked him. Reptile selflessly put himself in the way and suffered an injury from her sai. Returning the favor, for the night Kotal allowed him to live. He survived, and he knew she was a false empress. Reptile had seen Shang Tsung creating her in his flesh pits and formed plans with Kotal to wrestle the title of Khan away from her.
Like others, this one is not pleased with Mileena as Khan, but it is not clear who will succeed.
That is why I invited our Zaterran friend.
Listen and join us. I know things about Mileena. The Trouble's rule will fall in the temple and pave the way from Guatal.
What would you know then?
There they are. 3 of your fellow counselors, whispering like handmaidens. About what, I wonder? Speak your last, before I have you talk.
You are not Shao Kahn's true heir. She is a construct formed in Shang Tsung's flesh pits. I saw this. Your best claim to the throne is moot.
How dare you! I succeed Shao Kahn by his decree!
Succeed him you have, but Outworld demands new leadership.
From you, Architect Fool. Kill him!
Sarah is dead. Your last ally has left you.
Take her away.
Mileena escaped and went into hiding, forming a rebel group of her own. During the events of the Mortal Kombat X comic, Kotal, now Kotal Khan, ruler of Outworld, struggled to maintain peace in his kingdom. Various factions fought for power, and the realm was in a state of constant civil war thanks to the efforts of Mileena attempting to reclaim her throne. Reptile stayed fiercely loyal to Kotal Khan and was always at his side, riding his battle against Kotal's enemies. He also witnessed the death of Kotal's father and had the difficult duty of informing him of his father's demise. Kotal Khan developed an immense respect for Reptile and was pleased to have such a loyal companion at his side. And Reptile proved to be a powerful ally, using his invincibility to protect his allies, snapping Shao Kahn necks with no warning and being wounded in battles. But no wounds would keep him from serving the only person that had a genuine respect for him. During the events of Mortal Kombat X, the Outworld Civil War is still being fought, and Kotal Khan experiences betrayals from all sides. Shinnok was threatening to return, and Devora was revealed to have been a double agent for Quan Chi when Reptile noticed that he was being spied on.
What is it?
Damn, it's Nidus.
Okay, guys, standard diamond formation. Takeda, you're on point. Jackie, bring up the rear. Ling Jin, air cover.
Got it.
The Earthrealmers. Devora freed them.
Nakagasu!
One down, 2 to go.
Reptile was defeated by Takeda, and he believed Devora and the Earthrealmers had worked together to steal Shinnok's amulet.
D'Vorah? And the Earthrealmers?
She stole the amulet, then helped them escape.
She betrayed us to the Thunder God.
You wound me, D'Vorah. Prepare the legions. We go to Earthrealm. We will wrest back the amulet from that devil Raiden.
Later, when Shinnok returned and plunged Earthrealm into darkness, Reptile joined the attack group led by Kotal Khan, and Reptile was forced to fight Jax's daughter, Jackie.
We have to tell them about Shinnok. Call a truce.
Bring them to me!
Or not. The woods. Come on.
They're back. We sense them, but the forest feeds the souls.
Yes, so close.
To explore the Chaos Realm.
You must continue your search in this realm, the realm of chaos.
Chaos?
The nature of this realm is one of constant turmoil. The beings here oppose order and structure. Chaos is their religion.
So basically, no laws. People can do what they want. What do we think of the Chaos Realm, people? Look at it.
Oh, that's blue round.
The only had temporary power-ups, and it made them extremely strong. So 2 groups. And I'm going to go into detail here, so get ready. Okay, so at the top of the Mortal Kombat universe, you have the one being. Existed before reality itself, living in the void with the Elder Gods. In fact, owning them and feeding off their essence. Basically MK's version of the one above all, but clearly not on that level as he was defeated by the 6 Elder Gods. But by the mere fact that it took 6 Elder Gods creating 6 weapons just to separate the one being's consciousness should tell you how powerful the one being actually is. In fact, you better thank the Elder Gods. Without them, there would be no Mortal Kombat universe. All the realms are the one being's consciousness. So basically, in short, if the one being ever were to return, he would destroy the universe. The one being is a universal threat. Simple. Next up, you have the Elder Gods. Of course, said to be nigh omnipotent beings, vastly powerful. Have the ability to shapeshift, size alteration, can banish you, depower you, empower you, throw you into the nether realm if they wanted to, can create powerful weapons such as the Kamidogu. Just to think, the one being had all these powers but more. Key note here, Shinnok, as an Elder God, was up there in terms of power with these guys. Raiden, when he became an Elder God, is also up there in terms of power with these guys. Blaze, of course created to prevent Armageddon. Well, that kind of flopped. Blaze was the last boss in the Mortal Kombat franchise of the original timeline, meaning he was greater than all the bosses that came before him. Hell, Ed Boon said himself, Blaze was at the top of the food chain. But what seals the deal is Blaze's bad ending. In his bad ending, he destroys all reality and all the realms. Difference is, people needed Blaze's power to do that. He done this on his own. Onaga, the Dragon King. Clearly a powerhouse, clearly one of the most powerful. How do we know this? Shao Kahn feared Onaga. How many people have you seen Shao Kahn scared of? Right, not many. Shao Kahn had to poison Onaga to defeat him. Telling you that Shao Kahn did not want to go one-on-one with this behemoth. He would have been destroyed. And despite this man looking like a freaking brute, he has many magical abilities. Hell, you can't even kill him. His consciousness is still around. He can empower you, as he did with Shijinko with that amazing ability. He can mind control, raise the dead, has flight, damn near immortal. All this without the Kamidogu. Onaga is a freaking problem. Believe that. Lord Raiden. Keyword, Lord Raiden. As I said before, Elder God Raiden is up there with the Elder Gods. Lord Raiden is a lesser god. But even as a lesser god, Raiden is still a planetary threat and incredibly powerful. I'm gonna do a Respect Raiden video and I will go into more detail there. But aside from that, Raiden is the man. And what a lot of people don't know is like 99% of the time you see Raiden fighting, he's either holding back or there's some stipulation. For example, end of MK9, Raiden was letting Shao Kahn win. He was jobbing on purpose. At the beginning of MK9, Shao Kahn had received Blaze's power. Basically, if Shao Kahn doesn't have an amp, he does not beat Raiden. Raiden is stronger. We have the Mortal Kombat champion, Liu Kang. And keyword, Liu Kang from the original timeline, MK1 to 4. Here's why this was special. You had a human, a Shaolin monk with incredible fighting abilities, taking on demons, sorcerers, robots, gods, emperors, and coming out undefeated. Liu Kang hadn't lost a single match in the original timeline. Not a clean one. The only character in the history of Mortal Kombat to defeat Liu Kang cleanly, and I mean Liu Kang as in Liu Kang, not zombie, revenant, no bullshit version, Liu Kang. The only character to do that was Raiden. That is Liu Kang's mentor and the god of thunder. No shame in that. Take that L, that is Raiden. Liu Kang most definitely earned his spot. Let's mention Taven and Shijinko as well. Both guys with insane resumes. Difference is Liu Kang had more longevity than them. While they were hot for one game, Liu Kang was the man in 4 games. Shao Kahn, the conqueror of worlds. Come on now, he had to be here. Shao Kahn is a beast. Legendary boss. Damn near conquered the Mortal Kombat universe. Fallen Elder God Shinnok. Keyword, Fallen Elder God Shinnok. Much like Shao Kahn, evil, a beast, devastating. But Shinnok relies heavily on magic instead, whereas Shao Kahn is physically stronger and more of a brute. Shinnok is more cunning and deadlier with the magic. Okay, now fused characters, or characters with temporary amps. Starting from the bottom up, we have Sindel. Of course, Sindel is already a powerhouse. You give her Shang Tsung souls, she became a monstress. Ran through the friggin' roster. It was painful. And all that time I'm sitting there watching this like, guys, shoot some projectiles. But nah, they waited their turn like some old martial art flick and got bodied. She ran through them like a hot knife through cheese. And what's painful? You'll never see some of these characters again. It took Nightwolf, sacrificing himself to take out Sindel. What does that say about Nightwolf? Shout outs to Nightwolf. Elder God Scorpion. That's right, I didn't forget. Scorpion was jumped by Moloch and Draman and thrown into a Soulnado. That's right, Moloch and frickin' Draman. After being rescued by the Elder Gods, Scorpion was made their champion. They enhanced his abilities and gave him enough power to defeat Onaga. Meaning, at this time, Scorpion was one of the most powerful characters ever in Mortal Kombat. But of course, this was temporary. And he never did defeat Onaga. Shujinko did. Taven with the power of Blaze. Of course, Taven's already a top-level fighter. You give him the power of Blaze, he becomes godlike. And apparently the MK writers wanted Taven to win Armageddon. But he probably wasn't over enough and they changed it and gave the win to Shao Kahn. So once again, a temporary power-up, and essentially now never happened. Shujinko, with all the combatants' powers, as seen in his MK Deception ending. At this point in time, after taking the powers from all these warriors, Shujinko became extremely powerful and was strong enough to smash the Kamidogus and defeat Onaga. But here's the thing, this was also a temporary power-up. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, the follow-up game, Shujinko was defeated by Melina and captured. That's right, Melina holds a victory over Shujinko. But hold on now, there's a reason for this. Shujinko will explain.
Ranger, the key you found, it will unlock my cell door. Please free me.
How do I know you won't attack me?
You have only my word. I am not here to do battle with you. My task is to eliminate Shao Kahn.
Hello? This I must see.
I thank you, stranger. I am Shujinko.
I am Taven. You plan to defeat Shao Kahn? Whole realms have tried to overthrow him.
Not only will I defeat him, but a host of his allies. They are in his chamber now, plotting some coming battle. I allowed myself to be captured. From this dungeon, I can enter Shao Kahn's soul chamber. Once there, I will be able to destroy Shao Kahn and all his allies in one stroke. I suggest you leave quickly, Taven, for I cannot guarantee your safety.
My safety? I just defeated this entire... foolish old man.
Right, so in case you missed what is going on here, Shujinko allowed himself to be defeated by Melina and captured, just so he could be close to Shao Kahn and his allies. Shujinko had a plan. His plan was to do the same damn thing he'd done in Deception. He wanted all the bad guys close together so he could absorb their powers, meaning he did not keep the powers from Deception, as he was planning on doing the same damn thing again. He was gonna go to the throne room, absorb all the villains' powers and defeat Shao Kahn in one stroke. Of course, if he kept his powers from Deception, he wouldn't need to do this again. He wouldn't need to be captured. He could just run straight through and kill everyone. So he did not keep his powers. Shujinko, essentially, to be at his strongest, needs people around him. And of course, this never happened because the bad guys left before he reached. And the next time we see Shujinko is on the pyramids getting knocked off by Shang Tsung. So yeah. And of course, in the latest comics, Shujinko clearly does not maintain those powers he had from Deception. Armageddon Shao Kahn. Of course, this is Shao Kahn with the power of Blaze. Damn near godlike and damn near invincible. Even Raiden said this in MK9. But of course, Shao Kahn didn't actually earn these powers. The last time we saw Shao Kahn, he was being taken away by Onaga. We know Onaga's stronger than Shao Kahn. That should have been his end. Even the writers said they wanted Taven to win this, but changed it last minute and gave it to Shao Kahn. No one actually knows what happened at Armageddon. You can only think because Taven wasn't over enough or a strong enough character to carry the game into a new generation, they had to give it to Shao Kahn. Someone far more popular, far more over, and better for storylines. So that's probably the reason. He's more established. We have seen this happen before. Many of you may not know Fujin was supposed to replace Raiden in the Mortal Kombat games, but because fans didn't warm up to enough, they had to keep Raiden. This is why you saw Raiden come back. So they change things when it doesn't work out. So it's not something new. But hey, I digress. Shao Kahn with the power of Blaze was able to merge all realms. In fact, here's his ending.
Blaze was no match for Shao Kahn the Conqueror. His strength increased tenfold. The forces of light could not fend off his final invasion as he merged each realm without one. But his ultimate triumph was soon to be his downfall. With nothing left to conquer, Shao Kahn was driven to madness.
Really? Driven to madness? That's the best you could come up with? What a cop-out. Anyways, there's one character that goes even further, displayed far more power than that, and that is Onaga, with the fused Kamidogu. Of course, Onaga's story was similar to Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but instead of him going around collecting it, he used Shujinko as a pawn to do his bidding. Collected all the Kamidogu, then ended up collecting Shinnok's amulet from Quan Chi. That made the 7th. All Onaga had to do was now find a way to fuse them, and then that would be it. Over. In fact, I'll piece together the story so you can hear it for yourself.
The Dragon King now possesses the 6 Kamidogu and has taken the process by which to fuse the Kamidogu into one. With this information, Onaga was able to create the one Kamidogu, a tool of unspeakable power.
My enemies had failed to prevent me from fusing all the weapons of the Elder Gods into one. I used this ultimate weapon to warp reality, merging the realms into a singular existence. The Elder Gods were helpless and I used their own power against them in the void beyond the One Realm. Not satisfied with merely ruling the One Realm, I seized all that exists and merged it into myself. There can be only one consciousness. I am everything. I have become the One Being.
Right. So whereas Armageddon Shao Kahn merged all the realms, then was driven into madness, Onaga merged all the realms, went into the void, and defeated the Elder Gods. This is infinite space where there's no time passing. After doing this, he merged the one realm into himself, effectively ending the universe. Making Onaga with the fused Kamidogu the most powerful being in Mortal Kombat history. Period. But as a wise Tarkatan once said, how do you rule a realm with no one in it? Of course, this was a what-if scenario. What if Onaga fused all the Kamidogu? But his powers were on display, and it showed you what he was capable of. And that was insane. And that pretty much wraps this up. These are the strongest characters in Mortal Kombat. I might do strongest characters in Killer Instincts in the future. We'll see. Okay people, this will be the 5 worst characters in Mortal Kombat. Now the Mortal Kombat series has had many characters. Some have been hits, some have been completely flops. Here are my top 5 worst. And from the jump, you ain't gonna hear of no meat or mocap. As far as I'm concerned, they don't even count. Waste of time. If anything, there'd be 0 and -1. Coming in at number 5, we have Darius. So Jax wasn't in this game, so I guess they needed the token black guy to replace him. And Blade was hot at the time, so they figured they'd get some heat off Blade. But here's the thing, this shit flopped miserably. Weak storyline, dull moveset, laughable fatalities, awful. We will not be seeing Darius anytime soon, that's for damn sure. I believe Darius's quote and claim to fame was, "I am Darius. I look forward to resisting arrest." Are you freaking kidding me right now? That's this man's claim to fame and favorite quote? Whack. Character flopped. Coming in at number 4, I have Jarek. Now, I actually liked MK4. I thought the combos were very fast-paced and the gameplay was fast. But one thing I didn't like was Jarek. Dude was garbage. Recycled moves, recycled fatalities. Dude didn't pull it off at all. Here you have a guy who's supposed to be a cutthroat killer, but came across goofy, and his ending sealed the deal for me. What a shitty ending for a shitty character. Am I supposed to take Jarek seriously after this? Come on.
It's over, Jarek. Shinnok is dead. The good guys won. You're coming back with me.
Never, Sonya. I agreed to help with Beast Shinnok, not turn myself into the Special Forces. The Black Dragon live on.
The Black Dragon died with Kano. You're the last one, Jarek.
Never!
Come in, Major Briggs. This is Lieutenant Sonya Blade. What?
Sonya, this is Major Briggs. Come in. Sonya, this is Jax. Are you there? Going somewhere, Jarek?
Jax! I thought you were going to...
Thought I was what? Dead? Like my partner you just tossed off the cliff?
I'm sorry, Jax. Please, don't drop me. Wait, I promise.
Too late, Jarek.
You can't drop me. You have to uphold the law. You have to arrest me. Wait. This is brutality. You can't do it.
Wrong, Jarek. This is not a brutality. This is a fatality.
Coming in at number 3, I have Dairu. Now once again, another character from Deception. And the funny thing is, Mortal Kombat Deception is one of the best Mortal Kombat games, but they introduced some of the worst characters. Dairu is one of them. His backstory wasn't all that. A lackluster design. One of the worst movesets you'll ever see. Terrible fatalities. Just straight up garbage. The character did not pull it off. On top of that, you have this character feuding with other characters who aren't even established. A bunch of jobbers fighting jobbers. How do you get over? Who wants to see Baraka fight Baraka? In fact, I take that back. Baraka's more over than any of these characters.
These were the guards I was sent to dispose of? Fa!
Number 2, we have Cobra. Now you must have saw this coming. Many people say Ken, many people say the bad guy from Karate Kid. Who cares? The character sucked. The storyline was garbage. And if you can't get into a character's storyline, he automatically flops. Here you have a guy that's that good at martial arts that he can kill people with his techniques. Now instead of this guy going to some underground fight club where he can actually kill people, earn money and become famous, this guy robs thugs and robs convenience stores. Are you freaking shitting me right now? Who wrote this garbage? Huh? Are you sure he's in the right game? Maybe he was meant to be in GTA 5. And once again, an uninspired moveset. Horrendous fatalities. And spent his entire story mode trying to join the Black Dragon and feuding with Kira, a character that should have made this list. Come on now, Cobra. If this guy was really that tough, you should have put him in there with the top guys. Give him a shot at Scorpion, give him a shot at Raiden, let him do something memorable. This is why I now understand why they tried to shove these new characters down our throats in MKX. Because we see what happens when they don't. These characters were like this because they had no notable victories or impact. They didn't fight anyone established. And this is why they faded into the...
Spoilers ahead, you have... Hanzo Hasashi was a member of the Shirai Ryu, a clan of assassins and rivals of the Lin Kuei. Amongst the clan, Hanzo Hasashi was a man so legendary with a kunai, he was referred to as Scorpion. However, as dangerous as Hanzo was, he was also a family man, with his wife and child. However, this did not last. With his clan eradicated by Bai Han, also known as Sub-Zero, and the Lin Kuei, broken, Scorpion lost the Sub-Zero and was murdered in cold blood. Although murdered, Hanzo's spirit burned like fire in the Netherrealm, attracting the attention of the necromancer known as Quan Chi. Quan Chi offered Hanzo the opportunity for redemption, not as a man, but as a spirit of wrath and vengeance, as a hellspawn known only as Scorpion. Another little thing is the fact that the continuity of the original Mortal Kombat timeline, it's all over the place and there's stuff that is really stupid, so don't expect it to be a straight line. It goes all over the place. So I'm just warning you guys now because there's some really stupid stuff that does happen. Mortal Kombat 1. 2 years after being murdered by Sub-Zero, Scorpion returns to the Mortal Kombat tournament fighting alongside Shang Tsung. Scorpion was bloodthirsty and wanted Bai Han to feel his rage and suffering the same way that Bai Han had murdered both him and his clan. During Liu Kang's confrontation with Goro, Scorpion took this opportunity to catch Sub-Zero off guard and murder him. Finally at rest, Hanzo returned to the Netherrealm. Mortal Kombat 2. During his time and service in the Netherrealm, Scorpion heard that another tournament was taking place. However, he was both shocked and angered when he found out that Sub-Zero would also be taking part in the tournament. Bleeding with rage and vengeance once more, he would enter the Mortal Kombat tournament to finally confront this imposter. At the tournament, Hanzo realized that this man wasn't the ruthless murderer he had grown to hate, but instead a merciful assassin, as this was seen when he actually spared one of his opponent's lives. Realizing that he had no grudge to his enemy's kin, Scorpion would become Sub-Zero's secret protector. Yeah, I did warn you guys about this continuity thing. Can't say I didn't tell you so. Mortal Kombat 3. During Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn had unleashed his army on Earthrealm. Due to this, Scorpion was unleashed to walk the world once more with no strings attached. No friends, no enemies. Shao Kahn recognized Scorpion's capabilities and immediately recruited him into his army. However, this did not last, and Scorpion turned his back on the Emperor when he realized that Kuai Liang, Sub-Zero, was on the opposing side. With Shao Kahn finally defeated, the realms reverted back to their original states, with Scorpion returning back to the Netherrealm. Mortal Kombat 4. After returning to the Netherrealm, he had caught word from Quan Chi that his wife and child were murdered by the second Sub-Zero, Kuai Liang. Ultimately feeling betrayed by Sub-Zero, he swore vengeance upon Kuai Liang and to kill him just like he killed his brother, Bai Han. After confronting and defeating the younger Sub-Zero, he learned from Quan Chi's own mouth that this entire time he has been played by Quan Chi. He learned that his family and clan were killed none other by Quan Chi himself, and that he got turned into Quan Chi's personal attack dog. Scorpion, burning with wrath like no other time in his life, chased Quan Chi as he was being banished to the Netherrealm, dragging the Necromancer with him for an eternity of torture and suffering. Kombat: Deadly Alliance. Quan Chi spent years running away from Scorpion. If he was ever caught once by Scorpion, he would be brutalized and tortured by Hanzo. Greatly weakened in this realm, Quan Chi was forced to create an alliance between Oni, Dramin, and Moloch to fight off Scorpion. Whilst Scorpion was fighting the lackeys, Quan Chi was creating a portal to attempt escape from the Netherrealm and Scorpion himself. After fighting off the lackeys, Scorpion chased Quan Chi through the portal. However, he ended up somewhere else completely different. Scorpion had no limits, and chased Quan Chi all the way to Shang Tsung's island. Finally arriving, he was jumped by Dramin and Moloch, who threw him into a Solnado with the intentions to destroy Scorpion. Mortal Kombat Deception. Although nearly destroyed, Hanzo managed to escape into the void and met the Elder Gods within the Solnado. The Elder Gods let Hanzo witness the sacrifice of Raiden to eradicate the Dragon King, Onaga. Asking why he was seeing this, the Elder Gods told Scorpion that they had acknowledged his skill through the years, and decided that they wanted him as their champion. Accepting their terms and agreements, Hanzo's powers were enhanced tenfold, including his Hellfire abilities. Scorpion was given one objective, and that was to destroy and eradicate Onaga. Scorpion would then be released from the void with his new powers and Outworld. Scorpion appears in the conquest mode of the game, attempting to retrieve an amulet from Quan Chi, but he is actually stopped by Shichenko. Ah, dear lord, I hate that character so much. Anyway, it's unknown if Scorpion confronted Onaga at any point in the story, because Shichenko actually defeated the Dragon King. Yeah, the continuity for this is awful. The more I read it, the more I kind of suffer a little bit inside. Just saying. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Now this game is actually the final installment in the original timeline of Mortal Kombat, just before it does get rebooted. So just thought I should throw that out there, just let people know. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Scorpion is no longer the champion of the Elder Gods. The reason behind this is because the Elder Gods were promising Scorpion that after his services to the Dragon King, that his family and clan would be revived. Although they did revive his family and clan, they decided, as a twist of fate, to bring them all back as Hellspawn warriors, much like Scorpion himself. Understandably betrayed and once again angered, Scorpion wanted to hit the Elder Gods where he knew it would hurt. He would do this by killing the two Edenian brothers known as Tavern and Dagon, allowing Armageddon to happen. Now this is actually the end of the original timeline, and no, I would not include that game. Yes, that game, you know what I'm talking about. And I will not be including that game, because non-canon for one of them's complete garbage, and the other one, nah, it's alright, but still not canon. Now we finally come to the reboot of Mortal Kombat, and man, it's a breeze of fresh air. For the first time since Mortal Kombat has been created, it finally has a story mode that actually explains the histories of the characters, and actually does and delivers really well on the story, so it's saying a lot compared to the previous games. Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 is a reboot of the original series. However, differing from the original, it diverts in its own direction, creating an altered path to the original. In the beginning of the game, we find out and see the ending to the original timeline, which actually involves all of the characters being murdered except Raiden and Shao Kahn. Raiden is eventually defeated by Shao Kahn, and Raiden is then forced to send a message to his past self to prevent Armageddon, yada yada yada. Original continuity, Mortal Kombat style. Anyway, since this is a fresh take, the story will be a lot better and it'll be a lot less dumb, so things kind of improve from here. In this timeline, Scorpion's origins have been mildly altered. That was the original Sub-Zero that killed both his family and clan, whereas Kuai Liang would have been the imposter to have killed his family. Scorpion, however, is resurrected the same way with the same abilities, so there's no actual change to his character that's too drastic. During the story of the game, we are well aware many times that Scorpion has the plan of eradicating Sub-Zero and avenging the Shirai Ryu. In the first tournament, he defeats both Johnny Cage and Nightwolf and Kung Lao, but ultimately doesn't kill them. After his fight, Scorpion is confronted by Raiden. Raiden preaches to Scorpion to spare Sub-Zero, and if done so, Raiden will preach to the Elder Gods and revive his clan, which Scorpion ultimately agrees to. Scorpion enters Shang Tsung's palace and is confronted by Sector and Cyrax from the Lin Kuei, but they are both defeated by him single-handedly. Finally, Bai Han appears, confronting Scorpion and offending his clan. Scorpion doesn't take too well to this and grabs Bai Han and drags him to the Netherrealm, where he'll make Sub-Zero pay for his sins. Scorpion overwhelms the Cryomancer with his Hellfire, defeating him, but ultimately does spare him. However, Quan Chi would show visions of his clan's murder to Scorpion, showing Sub-Zero as the perpetrator of their annihilation, and the murderer of his wife and child by his hands. Lost in a fit of rage, Scorpion would pull off his mask, revealing the scorched skull underneath, and murder Bai Han. Returning to the palace, he would regrettably hold up Bai Han's skull before returning to the Netherrealm. He is later seen defeated by Liu Kang before Liu Kang fights Goro. During the second tournament, Scorpion's appearances are very vague and only brought up during the Sub-Zero storyline. Anyway, this isn't the original Sub-Zero, not Bai Han, it's actually his younger sibling known as Kuai Liang. He asks Shao Kahn to summon Scorpion before him so he can be eradicated by Kuai Liang's hands. Scorpion is summoned and shocked to witness another Sub-Zero before realizing it's his relative. Scorpion openly mocks Bai Han before being defeated by his enemy's kin. Before the finishing blow can be dealt, the Lin Kuei interfere in their fight. Sub-Zero is subdued, and this actually allows Scorpion to escape quite ironically. Scorpion is only seen during the end of the campaign after this, after many of the Earthrealm warriors are, spoiler alert, murdered by Sindel. Raiden is forced to go to the Netherrealm and strike a deal with Quan Chi, but is stopped by Scorpion, telling the Elder God he has no place here. Raiden then mocks Scorpion for murdering Bai Han and not reviving his clan. Kind of a dick move, Raiden. This understandably pisses off Hanzo and he actually tries fighting Raiden, but unfortunately is defeated. This is Scorpion's last appearance in Mortal Kombat 9, so that's where the story kind of comes to an end, but it doesn't. Due to the release of Mortal Kombat X in the comics, there are some little bits of filler that kind of bridge MK9 to MKX. So I'm going to go over bits and pieces of the comic book now. You don't have to watch this part if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, but like I said, you have been warned since the beginning of this video. We learned that the comic books that sometime after the events of Mortal Kombat 9 that Hanzo, with the assistance of Ken Chi, has managed to subdue his Scorpion persona, and he has also reinvented the Shirai Ryu, as well as taking Takashi Takeda, Kenchi's son, under his wing. At this point in the story, he is actually aware that it was Quan Chi who murdered his clan. So during the comic books, we actually see him brutally, and I mean brutally, murder Su Hao, like completely rearrange his face with his fist, as in Su Hao has no face, it's gone. It is later seen that Raiden meets Hanzo Hasashi and actually hands him a Kamidogu dagger, but does not tell him the demonic properties of the weapon. Hanzo is very open about his disliking towards Raiden and the way he's been treated as well. The Shirai Ryu are murdered once more, but this time by another one of his proteges called Fox, who tortures Hanzo in his sleep, allowing him to relive his worst memories before waking up and getting in touch with his inner demon, Scorpion. Hanzo is then forced to fight Fox, but finds out that he's outpowered by the demonic possession that is controlling Fox. Fox, however, is killed by Takashi, and Hanzo learns the properties of the dagger and goes to confront Raiden at his temple. Arriving at the temple, a possessed Raiden attacks Scorpion and his protege. Outmatched, Hanzo is forced to become Scorpion once more to even the playing field as he smashes the Elder God to pieces, making him suffer and snap some sense into him. Scorpion is then told right that the daggers do have demonic possession elements to them. Hanzo argues with Raiden why he wasn't told about this when he was given possession of these hellacious, destructive weapons. Raiden's reasoning was to keep them in hiding and their properties a secret. Scorpion is then tasked to capture Kuai Liang, who has gone AWOL with one of the daggers, dead or alive. And that's where we kind of are in the comics, guys. There's not really much after this that I know of because it hasn't been released. So when the game is released and there's a lot more information about it, there'll be a part 2 of this video which will go over Mortal Kombat X Scorpion timeline, which will explain a lot and we can carry on the story from there. I don't know what really happens from this point on. Just wanted to let everyone know that, so that way this video doesn't really feel kind of half-assed near the end. Since we're talking about Mortal Kombat X Scorpion, I just want to say that I think and I love his new look. He has 3 different variations known as Ninjutsu, Hellfire, and Inferno. Personally, I don't know whether or not Hanzo will play a massive part in the Mortal Kombat X storyline, because it could go either way. He may live at the end of it, he may die, because you know, Mortal Kombat continuity, it's all over the place. But so far, I think that this variation of Hanzo, re-ripped version of him, is really, really good. So that's it, guys. That's the first ever episode of History Behind the Warrior. Let me know if you liked it, what I should change, because I want to help develop this channel, make it a lot cooler and a lot more user friendly for everyone here. Like I said in the beginning, please like, comment and subscribe, and especially share, because it will help so much for me getting these views, and it will give me a little bit more of a push and want to do these videos a lot more. But yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's come to the very end of this first actual video which I've made, because there's actually a lot of work in this, and a lot more than what I actually thought there'd be. So, yeah, going over Sub-Zero. Just want to thank everyone from the previous video before for getting all the likes and views that it did. It has been phenomenal. So if possible, let's try to beat that one by liking, sharing this, and even subscribing, because I think in that one video I got about 33 different subscribers. So let's see how far we can make this video go. Now as before, spoilers ahead. There have been 2 different Sub-Zeros, which means I'll be going over them individually. However, there's a certain point with the first Sub-Zero where I will cut him off completely, because he does become his own character, and I will make a video for him at some point in the future. And also the fact that I'll be excluding Mortal Kombat mythologies from Sub-Zero. And as we all know, that game, you know, that game, it's not canon. Let's burn it, let's forget it ever existed. But now let's get to the video. Just want to say again, spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Pre-Mortal Kombat. All that is ever really mentioned is that Bai Han and Kuai Liang were abducted as children by the Lin Kuei, and were trained to be the world's most deadly assassins. During the first tournament, not much is known about Kuai Liang. However, he did go by a name before, known as Thundra. We can only assume that he was either a normal assassin, or maybe he did have some form of power affinity with lightning or thunder. Bai Han is one of the world's best assassins and fighters, and was asked by the Lin Kuei to represent them in the Mortal Kombat tournament, in which he was offered a place by none other than the sorcerer and the host himself, Shang Tsung. Also, to inform those who don't know, Sub-Zero has a very personal rivalry with the Shirai Ryu member known as Hanzo Hasashi, and blames Bai Han for the murder of his entire clan. Mortal Kombat 1. Returning from a mission, Bai Han had member to assassinate the sorcerer. This mission would be assigned to Bai Han, and his job was to get as close as possible to the sorcerer and kill him. Due to the original Mortal Kombat lacking known about who he fought besides Scorpion. Now back to the main story. Sub-Zero would fight in the tournament and even witness Goro and Shang Tsung's loss to the White Lotus member known as Liu Kang. As the island descended into chaos, he would be confronted by Hanzo Hasashi, who would now become the bloodthirsty and vengeful Scorpion. The two would engage in a bloody battle, but in the end, Bai-Han could not stand up to Scorpion's hellfire and fell by the hand of the Hellspawn himself. Now this is where things get a little interesting. Now this isn't the end of Bai-Han. His soul is actually sent to the Netherrealm and is corrupted much like Scorpion's. His entire storyline will be talked about later on, you'll see why. Now this is where we have someone else to fill in the shoes as the cryo monster Sub-Zero, and it's actually his younger brother, Kuai Liang. Mortal Kombat 2. With Bai-Han now dead, Kuai Liang would drop his old name to train and become the new Sub-Zero, seeking retribution for his murder by the hands of Scorpion. Kuai Liang would attempt to confront the Hellspawn with the intention to destroy his brother's murderer, despite the rumour and reasoning of Scorpion being that Bai-Han murdered his clan. During the second tournament, Kuai Liang would fight and defeat his opponent, but ultimately spare all their lives. Due to Scorpion seeing this, the Hellspawn was shocked and confused at why Sub-Zero would spare his opponent's life. It was very uncharacteristic of him to do so. It was at this point Scorpion was able to deduce the identity of the new Sub-Zero, learning that it was his younger brother Kuai Liang, and thus swore no harm towards him. Kuai then was unable to fill his own personal goal of killing Scorpion since Hanzo had left the tournament. He also failed his mission assigned to him by the Lin Kuei, much like his brother, of assassinating the sorcerer known as Shang Tsung. However, it wasn't a complete loss as he assisted Liu Kang and Raiden with the defeat of Shao Kahn. Mortal Kombat 3. During this time, the Lin Kuei had acquired cybernetic technology and were forcing all members to take part in the Cyber Initiative and become robots. Sub-Zero and Smoke refused to participate and were branded as traitors by the Lin Kuei. Whilst on the run, Sub-Zero would successfully escape from the clutches of the Lin Kuei, but sadly Smoke was not so successful and was forcibly transformed into a cyborg. The Lin Kuei would hold a grudge towards the Cryomos and send 3 robot assassins after him, one being Sector, the second being Cyrax, and as a twist of fate, the third being his best friend, Smoke. Due to this, Sub-Zero would seek protection and allied himself with Raiden. In return for this, he would fight Shao Kahn's extermination squads during the Earthrealm invasion. During the invasion, Sub-Zero would be forced to fight a cyberized Smoke. Programming. With Smoke by his side, Sub-Zero and Smoke overwhelmed the cyberized Cyrax and Sector. However, instead of destroying the 2 cyborgs, he then reprogrammed them to assassinate Shao Kahn. Sadly, all the cyborgs failed, and once again Smoke was captured and sent to Outworld. It was not long from now that Liu Kang had killed Shao Kahn, which in turn reverted the realms back to their original states. Mortal Kombat 4. The fallen Elder God Shinnok returning to destroy Earthrealm, Raiden enlisted Sub-Zero to help him defeat the corrupted Elder God. He would once again don his brother's colors and fight as Sub-Zero. During Mortal Kombat 4, Quan Chi had murdered Scorpion's family and framed Kuai Liang for their murder, which agitated the demon thirsting for the blood of his enemy. Sub-Zero would then be confronted by Hanzo in Goro's lair. Outmatched, Kuai lost to Scorpion, who then asked him why he did what he did, which Sub-Zero would say he played no part in his family's extermination. Quan Chi would then reveal the truth, that his hand played a part in both their lives. The murder of the Shirai Ryu, Hanzo's death, the creation of Scorpion, the death of Bai-Han,